find your zone every day. Find your zone every day.
And we're live. What's going on?
That's one hell of an intro. I don't know if there's anything else to say.
Yeah, I've had quite a few guests in here that don't know that I do that fucking crazy ass intro.
It is. Well done. Yeah.
Hey man, well, welcome, Big Pep, to my humble abode.
Thanks for having me.
No, I know. Just for people who don't know, I've been me and him have been talking a little bit in the background for like a couple months. It just never happened until right now, basically. It's a little bit of my fault, mostly on that side, but like, yeah,
that's tough to sync up, but we made it. Yeah,
nice, man. Well, Big Pep's in the house, man. Welcome, man. One of the OGs in Hex YouTubing and stuff like that. I would probably call you one of the most level-headed YouTubers in the Hex space. That's for sure and stuff. So,
thanks.
Yeah, man. How you been?
Appreciate that.
No, for sure.
I've been good, man, and likewise to you. And you've got a tremendous amount of knowledge to glean from your experience, especially in crypto and a lot of the connections you have. No doubt, a great asset as well. And you've been streaming well before me. In fact, you were one of the guys I remember watching on the early days, like the original days of Discourse Syndicate.
Yeah.
It got me kind of motivated to step up to the plate as well. So big props for that.
Hey, no, thank you so much, man. Yeah, I think when I don't remember when we started it, but I think it was either maybe in March of 2020 when we started doing Discourse Syndicate with me, RG3, Coffee, and Hexologist. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So hell yeah, man! I'm glad we were able to get a lot more YouTubers on here and stuff because it was like Lonely Island for a while.
Oh, now we're flooded with streams from all over the place. It's great how it's growing.
That's
radiating everywhere.
Yeah, dude, I'm honestly so proud of the Hex community for being such like YouTube heavy kind of content creators and stuff because it's made us quite different from most communities. We're pretty, even though we're, I would say the average person in cryptocurrencies are introverted, basically. We're the most extroverted introverts, basically.
You're right, and it's a really unique community because I've watched a lot of the big influencers, even well before even Hex was a thing. And even guys with hundreds of thousands of followers, they just don't have the camaraderie that we have amongst the viewers. I mean, they have a following for themselves and they shill things, but you don't see the sharing of info and the support for each other for the mass as a whole and the product that you would in Hex.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is like, yeah. I mean, you're totally right and stuff. Like, we're the most kumbaya sort of community. But but as we're having some growing pains right now in terms of like there's little rivalries and little like fuck shit kind of going on in the background.
Yep.
Yeah, which is it's pretty childish and stuff, but people got egos, I guess. So I think that's pretty much where it stems from. If I had to just take a guess, what's going on. But
I think it's a combo of that, and you're right. There's just over time, people tend to clash over petty things, and when price goes down, which, as I still believe, what's driving a lot of the emotion with the Twitter battles and some of the other stuff that's been going on.
yeah,
When there's a price dip, even if you're up, you know, uh, many X, as some of the people that were in early are, it still sucks to see your top all-time high cut in half or cut into a third.
oh yeah. It's I mean it's yeah that sucks. But hey, we hit a big milestone. We hit that 10,000x. That's 56 cents and stuff. Um, you know, saw that a mile away.
We did. I'm
Yeah,
kind of like I'm optimistic, but I'm realistic. So a lot of people are pounding the drums, for price points that I would love to see hit, and I think we'll get there. But I think that we just have too many big bag holders and too much sell pressure. But on the glass half full side, be thankful that we don't have 1,000x more big bag holders, because a lot of people were not onboarding when Hex was dirt cheap. I didn't even buy enough when it was in front of my face, because at the time, and this,
yeah,
Dark Ross, there was so much hate, so much FUD.
oh
It
yeah,
was just Richard streaming, and he was getting no love. I mean, there was people that I was thinking, okay, they're going to be on board with this,
right,
and they were just drawing swords like crazy. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I started to even question myself. It wasn't even until the Hex community came out that started to reinforce the thinking. And then we had, the whole COVID shutdown, and everything was just doom and gloom in the stock market. So it was tough. It's easy to look back and say, yeah, I wish I could go back and do it again. But when you're there, it was uncharted territory. And now I think we're still low price points to where it could go, or likely will go,
right.
even in
Just,
another year.
just to go on your first point in terms of like you're totally right. We do have some people that like we have quite a large amount of holders, but I do feel like in terms of like our community, we do have the most amount of kind of hodlers that kind of believe in Hex and do restake most of their Hex out. Of course, people you have to take profit, of course, at some point, right?
Sure.
But we do have some bad apples in
Yep.
in the whale game. And so I do believe most dolphins are actually I mean the backbone. I mean I'm not to say that, but in terms of like OGs and stuff, the backbone of the Hex community is basically the dolphins and the squid classes, right? But most OGs who bought anything, we're going to be in those two classes basically, and then some sharks as well. But it's where you get maybe some high level sharks to like some of the whales where it's kind of like up in the air whether they're frenemy or not, basically. But yeah, you just got a couple bad apples and stuff like that. So it's not. I think over time, right? Like obviously, like Hex inflates 3.69% per year, but obviously we're gaining more actual hodlers than that per year. So as long as we're gaining something like 3% more hodlers, which in turn means they obviously buy more than that in supply over time. So it's like we actually are pretty deflationary over time.
Yeah,
And
that's true. It just is going to take some time, and people tend to lash out a lot at the sharks and stuff, or the
yeah,
dolphins, whoever. But they also forget that to get ranked, you have to be staked. So a lot of those people, to your
correct.
point, they are the backbone. They're not the ones that are dumping down the price all the time. It's a lot of these people that bought in and just held liquid, or they got big payday and now they're just waiting to dump. And maybe they got a big position, or they had stakes. I mean, even on the Hex Vision, it was pretty clear that there was a lot of big stakes ending in the last couple months, and it
Yeah,
should start tapering off into December. But there's some big bags, but the ones that are restaking, sure, and we see a lot of that too. I think down the road it'll be just like any other coin, like Bitcoin, ETH, whatever, where you've got people with massive bags that could still nuke the price. There's big
yeah,
whales in all those, but they don't do it because they're smart about it. They take
right.
little portions of it as they need to. The big dumpers that are long gone by then. Now they're trying to buy back in.
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much like two ways for a big person to like, obviously, well, technically three. I guess there's three ways you could sell a large amount of Hex. One, you retardedly sell it all on Uniswap or on Matcha
Yeah.
on one order. That's pretty stupid, but I mean, hey, some people do it. Two, limit orders, and three would be you would provide liquidity and just essentially let yourself over time let the Hex price rise against you. You end up with a bunch of USDC, and you just pull your liquidity out, and you take the permanent loss hit. And I think that's the really big whale, maybe OA whale way of like being able to sell without selling in a way. Like and like with limit orders and stuff like that, that's kind of like how to take profits without dumping the price because you're selling into basically buy pressure because people want it basically. and I think that's more a responsible way probably to take either get cash for pumps later, or take profits just to improve your life. Because I've talked to quite a lot of Hexagons and stuff that they weren't like, they were either there in the beginning or were there pretty much like a couple months after he launched and stuff and that, and we're just eating ramen noodles and living in a shack. And I was like, bro, like, you need to upgrade the life a little bit, you know what I mean?
And I agree. There's no problem taking profits. It's part of the game for all of us, right? We're in it to build tremendous wealth. But I think taking them too prematurely, or if you're using, if you're letting your emotions get the best of you, like right now, there's a lot of uncertainty because Pulse Chain, it's a work in progress and it's made good progress, but there's no official launch date. People FUD themselves out, and then they're going to chase some of these other hype coins. Shiba was a big one for a while, and there's others out there. When you could see it on chain, there was people dumping Hex. I remember some guy dumped like $300,000 worth of Hex a month ago, 3 weeks ago, dumped it all into Shiba. And now how's he doing? Ain't all he's going to do. He'll come running back to Hex at some point, right? But it's this short-sightedness. We're seeing it in the stock markets. Look at the stock market Friday with 900 points down in the Dow because of the whole Omeric variant that's out now. And today it's already ramping back up. And Jim Cramer just said this afternoon, or this morning, that people are they sold low. They're going to buy back up at a higher price. That's what they're going to do next too.
Yeah, because let's just say we were to have another shutdown because of Android 19 or whatever. It would just cause because we're in an interesting asset class where inflation, or basically printed dollars, go into the three asset classes: real estate, stocks, and crypto now, right? Because we're an accepted form of exchange now, or at least a long-term investment vehicle. So every time there's money's getting printed, obviously, like the banks are in. I mean, like if you look at something like Fidelity's been investing in cryptocurrencies since like somewhere between late 2013, early 2014. They've been Bitcoin mining since 2013, 2014. Secretly, and there's a bunch of corporations and companies that have been secretly invested, or if not, their CEOs or a lot of their top brass have been investing in cryptocurrencies for a really long time. Like all the stuff with like Cash App and stuff like that, the guy Jack Dorsey's obviously been in Bitcoin for quite a long time. You look at PayPal. I mean, PayPal essentially they tried to create cryptocurrency and they just failed at it back in the 90s. So they ended up just making PayPal as their secondary option. You go into like things like Robinhood. Robinhood's been selling cryptocurrency since 2016. Yeah, and that was like one of the first places I ever bought crypto. Like I remember buying Dogecoin and like a Litecoin on Robinhood back in the day. Oh, of course it was paper Litecoin and Dogecoin, but still, like just interesting little stuff. So if they started selling it in 2016, then obviously they must have been heavily looking into it, and since like 2015, 2014.
And with Robinhood, you don't own the keys, right? So
it's paper. Bullshit. Exactly. Total horseshit.
Because I have people who are trying to just jump into crypto because they heard somebody got rich, and I've had several people come up and say, "Hey, can you buy it on Robinhood?" They ask about usually Shiba or something of that nature. They're like, "Oh, what can?" And I said, "Look, you don't even hold the keys to your coins. They don't understand. They don't care. They don't even want to put that much work in to get into even Coinbase or something and move it to MetaMask or whatever or understand what they're buying." I look at crypto right now as a whole, very similar. Its phase it's in is very similar to the .com boom in the mid 90s, early 90s, where everything .com was a winner. And it was and even by nature, if you had a home page, just a web form, not even a form, just a home page with some graphics, or under construction, remember those? And you had a domain name, you could get millions of dollars in funding.
Hey, shout out to the metaverse right now. The metaverse is the hot brand name right now.
Metaverse is
metaverse and anything. Hey, we're a blockchain metaverse. What's it called? NFT platform for the future.
Right. Yeah, it's just going nuts. And well, in the .com boom like that, and very similar, all that stuff was just horseshit, right? It was just a nothing burger, most of it. Some .coms survived, though. They actually had utility. So what I think will likely happen is many of these people are going to get wrecked chasing all these copy and paste meme nonsense coins and other things in the space as well, because everything gets hyped like it's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
And all that stuff will die off. and then the few survivors will rise to the top, and people will run into those. And I mean, if you could have got Amazon or Priceline or many other .coms back when that whole market imploded, you could have become very rich on that as well. But it's hard to pick those. It's hard to see them when it's just a sea of lava,
I will
to
say this though,
navigate.
I was broke as a joke during those times. I could not invest, but
Me too. Yeah.
trust me, I remember being in like what was it, my it may have been like my history class or my economics class, where I just kept seeing the teacher keep getting packages from Amazon.com for books and things back in the day, and I just was like, that's probably a good company to invest in and things like that. But I just remember that there was such a barrier to entry to even invest in equities. Like I remember I went to Fidelity. I think I was doing an internship or something like there, and then basically it was like $5,000 to $10,000 minimum to start an account before you could even dollar cost average. So you couldn't even buy anything until then. And obviously I didn't have that kind of money, especially in high school. So no entry for me, right? So I mean, I will say this though, for like Robin, just to give Robinhood and things like Betterment and what's the other one, Many Wealth Front. They're kind of flowers a little bit, is that they did lower the barrier to entry to get into equities, but there's no gains to be had there. I mean, I was probably making maybe like 20-40% a year on my portfolio but it's Cracker Jacks. you
Yeah.
know, like, 20-30% on a couple $100,000. Like, oh my God, like so much money, like, wow, I'm killing it now. I can buy a bag of chips now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, Amazon kind of taught me a lesson, because it's funny you mentioned the books. I remember when that came out, and I kind of shrugged it off. I'm like, oh, nobody's going to buy books on this, because Barnes and Noble and Borders and all the big bookstores were out. That's where you went to get that stuff, or eBay. And then eBay had a book mart as well. So I'm thinking, oh, this is bullshit. It's not going to survive. And then it started taking off in all kinds of directions and selling things now. Geez, what can't you buy on
Yeah.
Amazon, right?
I am sad
So
that
lesson
like,
learned.
Borders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know lesson. I mean, it really is lesson learned and stuff. But I am sad that Borders disappeared. Like, I really I loved it. That was like my playground
Me
in like
too.
high school. I loved going in there. Like, I didn't drink coffee until I was like 22, 23 years old. Now I'm a fiend. But
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
yeah, but I used to love. I never went into a I never went into a Barnes and Noble, but like Borders was my jam. So I was always in a Borders just because I loved that place. But yeah, pretty sad. That's where I got a big love of my book of reading books and everything, was from, because I just grab a book and just sit down. I treat it like my public library.
Me too, and that's what most people did, and I think
Yeah,
that's a big reason they didn't survive, because people just
yeah,
would camp out. They had the chairs around, but I had loved the atmosphere too. A lot of people did, and with the coffee, and they opened all that up as well. Yeah, it
yeah.
was just something to do. It was a nice, relaxing event.
Yeah, I mean, I totally would, if they said, "Hey, Miguel, it's $10 so you can stay all in here all day, read books." Like, I would have done it in a heartbeat. Like, I mean, they would have been better going off a subscription model, or just gone off, because I mean, that's how Costco makes most of their money. Is really, they make some money buying and selling stuff wholesale and stuff to like customers. They make their money off of their big money maker is that Costco membership card. So imagine all these, like, hey, you can come into Barnes and Noble or Borders and stuff. I mean, like, just I think they're just being run by dummies, basically.
Yeah, yeah. They let themselves, get behind the times, and they got steamrolled.
Yeah,
They were able to ratchet up and keep up with the tech, like you see Macy's doing now. A lot of
yeah,
people were, doom and gloom on Macy's, and now they're rebounding, and they're talking about improving their business model and going hybrid with, web sales and maybe Amazon and that kind of thing to stay alive. Otherwise, yeah, they put a nail in their coffin too.
I know. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that, like, if we were to travel back 50, 60 years ago, like, Sears was King Kong.
I remember those
And,
days.
and Macy's was Pepsi, technically, back in the
Oh
day.
yeah,
Sears was King Kong. That was the mega corporation. I mean, obviously during that time, I guess the mega corporation at that time was probably GM. That was probably the biggest company in the United States, or General Electric. And then like you had Sears in terms of like the retail space and stuff, and gone now. Like, I mean, like they basically pimped it out, levered it out, and stole every penny they could from that, from Sears. They did it to Macy's a bit as well. General Electric is probably like the biggest of, like, what they did to General Electric is insane. like insane what they like. They like at any point that like those crooked ass fucking CEOs and their fucking board of directors and all the high brass essentially levered it out, pimped it out, sold it out, and like sold parts of the company off all of them for them to hit certain like stock prices so they can just jet off and stuff.
Well, you're right. GE is a perfect example of how you're never too big to fail. I mean, they used to be the 800-pound gorilla of the S&P 500. I mean, everybody waited for their earnings and reports and forecasts. Now they're lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
You know, and trying to just stay above water. I mean, it's funny, even back in those days. I remember when you had to go to the arcade to play a video game. The Space Invaders just came out, and Astro, you go to 7-Eleven or some little arcade downtown. You ride your bike over there. The malls had them. I mean, they were in all these strip malls and stuff. Yeah, 7-Eleven was a big thing. The Dragon's Lair and stuff like that. Karate Champ. You remember all that
I'm
crap.
barely old enough to remember like there were video games in 7-Elevens. I'm barely old enough here.
Yeah, it's before your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big thing back then. Now, no, those are all gone. The video games are bigger than ever, but arcades are long gone. So, everything evolves.
I mean, that's why people are jumping into this whole metaverse thing because long term they're correct. I mean, like I just recently had like a dinner with a I shouldn't wait, hold up, I should probably not say this name. Okay, so an ex NFL guy. Basically, I was having a dinner with him, and just basically we were like he's pretty heavily invested into a lot of the video games or the video game space in cryptocurrency. So Mana, Decentraland, Sands, and all that stuff, all that jazz. And what we were talking about was basically that esports, right? Though these are the next professional players. You've already seen it already. Like I remember the first time I ever saw like video games starting to bubble up in terms of where like they were famous was in almost said North Korea, but South Korea. You had StarCraft, right? And we saw Boxer in them in Boxer, which I think is not World of Warcraft, but StarCraft 1 most famous player. And basically, you saw this guy getting treated like a star, and like all the Asian girls like, ah! And so every guy,
huge,
in the game was like, oh my god! So there's hope out here in this world.
When I was in Shanghai a few years ago for a business trip, and some people came over from South Korea as well for work, and they were talking about there was League of Legends. I think was one of the big ones.
Yep.
They actually have. I mean, it is like a sports team over there, and you are champion for being part of that. If you're, and it's a big deal. Like it was I think it was against the final matches were South Korea and China and somebody else, and I don't remember who won, but over there it's a huge. Yeah, you're like a celebrity if you're a gamer at that level. Yeah,
it's starting to transcend now. You got this now with like they try to do it with a lot of the early, like they try to do it with Quake and a bunch. It was just too small at the time. But what's going on now is because of Fortnite's getting big. I think what's going to break through, like what actually take us to that level where like, holy shit, this is not a game anymore. This is like serious money, and it's actually a career path for some people if they got the high level of it. So is basically there's a game that I'm invested in cryptocurrencies, which is called the Illuvium.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, one thing that it's made by the guys who made Synthetics, Kane Warwick and all his brothers and stuff. One thing that they're trying to do is they're gonna have one of the most craziest tournament prize pool of all time. Like, so once the game goes fully live and everything, you're gonna start seeing on TV or like in ads everywhere. There's $1 billion up for grabs.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that and Axes and stuff doing like people are earning a lot of money off of Axes and stuff. What play to I guess play to earn is basically what it is, and there's free to play as well. But like play to earn is going to be a huge thing coming up in the future.
I can see that.
Yeah. And
have you played Gods Unchained?
I played a little bit when it first came out. Like I haven't played it in a long time. But yeah, I know about it. The card game, right? Yeah,
it's a card game. But what do you think of the Immutable X platform?
It's a monopoly. So what's going on is that you have Barry Silverton and all those guys backing it, and so Illuvium is going to be on it as well. So Gods Unchained is going to be on Immutable X, running all their transactions through. So will Illuvium. So basically, Immutable X is sort of like sworn in to the Ethereum mafia. Like this, so any project who hasn't abandoned Ethereum that's like full on, like I'm an Ethereum person, yeah, we'll use Arbitrum and Optimism and stuff in Immutable X. there is a little bit of a kind of like I would say like almost like a gang warfare going on in Ethereum right now, where like you saw it recently with like Suzu from 3 Hours Capital saying, "Yo, fuck Ethereum, I'm done with this shit." Like, and it's true. Like, and I have a huge explanation why Ethereum is doing what's going on. And it's pretty simple if you just look at it like in terms of economics, but or if you just think about it in terms of like payola and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
um, you have Suzu who said like, "Fuck this, I'm out here, I'm going full AVAX and stuff," and people are, people at Ethereum are remembering that sort of shit. So I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is like there's an inside club of like, well, let me see like who fully abandoned Ethereum and who didn't, right? And I think that's what's kind of going on and stuff. So I think Immutable X is a part of that little like Ethereum gang, basically.
Oh, okay. See,
And
I did not know that. Yeah, I know of
yeah,
them because they
so
trade the cards on there. But yeah,
yeah, you can just trade the cards. It's just a second layer scaling solution. Just
yeah.
another EVM. You can do a lot of transactions on there. And in terms of how well it work, I don't know, but obviously something like if it's going to handle game transactions, that's pretty fast. So
I've played the Gods Unchained game for a while, and I've had some cards I've sold on there,
right,
and it does seem to work pretty smooth. And the bridging it's not super fast, but I mean it's usually within the next day.
got it,
Like bringing stuff in is quick. Bringing stuff off there to ETH, it's about maybe 12 hours to 24 hours.
got
But
you.
the marketplace seems to be growing. I noticed they have a lot of other games going on. That's why I asked because I have a token out now too, as well.
They have a token out.
IMX token, yeah.
Oh, the
It
IMX.
just came
Okay,
out.
I think the Gods
Yeah.
Unchained. I was like, whoa, they have a token. I was like,
Gods does too. Gods had an airdrop. Yeah.
got you. Might have to look into that. Thanks, Pat.
Yeah. Yeah. If you played it all, go check it out because you might have some free tokens.
Yeah, no, I did. I have. I don't know what cards I have. It's just like I played everything in the beginning when Hex was like, I was just waiting around for Hex to be created back in like 2018. Wait 2 weeks, 4 weeks later, 4 weeks soon, 4 weeks
Yeah. Yeah.
with Hex and stuff. I jumped on Decentraland and Sandbox and Axie's Infinity and like Gods Unchained. Every game I could try, I played it and I bought some stuff.
I
And
tried Decentraland and I bought some of their tokens. This is back early when Hex was launching. I sold them and went into Hex. I tried to go on to Decentraland at the time, and it was so slow and so expensive. To like
yeah,
even if you wanted to buy like a little plot of land or something, and the gas was to even do it back then was still expensive.
yeah, the most
Yeah.
efficient gas contracts in all of crypto. And that's one of the reasons when I was saying early on in Hex that I knew like we were going to start having gas problems, and I was saying this on the Discord syndicate and stuff, and my podcast back in the day was like I was playing on Decentraland and I saw the gas fee go from a penny per transaction to 25 cents to $2. I was like, whoa! And this is when item like in terms of like why this was crazy is the mana, like the price per mana was like 2 cents, 3 cents each, and the average item was like 6 cents. I mean 6 mana, 10 mana, 20 mana. So we're talking about like under $1 for any item. And the gas fee was being almost worth twice as much as the items themselves. So I was like, wow. So that completely stopped the whole trading market because you couldn't scalp anymore, or you couldn't like, buy this shirt for 100, sell it the next day for 120, because the gas fee would just erode all the profits basically.
Yeah, that's when I started looking at it, and I kind of got away from it, and then I just sold. Now I mean, Hex has run up way more,
Oh
but I
well,
see
yeah.
Decentraland is still. But I think there's definitely an interest in that space, and gaming, no doubt, is going to
Yeah.
become, more interweaved with that type of activity. It's just still in its infancy now, so all those might be good, um,
So
for down the road.
if you see any major game and you can get land or you can get some of anything that's like Genesis stuff, like the starting Pokemon or the starting cards or the starting land, it's
What about that
probably
Mars 4? Do you know about that? I think it's called Mars 4.
no, I haven't heard of it. What is that?
Some Mars. I think it's Mars. Some. Yeah, it's gonna be. They're taking. I can't remember who's doing it, but they're taking a landscape, like a real landscape of
Hmm.
Mars, and they're gonna sell it all out, plot it all out, kind of like a decentralized. So you can build
Yeah, yeah.
colonies and ships and whatever. But yeah, but it's gonna be the actual landscape that exists, and then you can go and buy plots and do things and
That's
whatever.
crazy. That's pretty cool, actually.
I might have the name wrong, but I think it's Mars 4 or something like that. But it's a well, you mentioned Genesis. I've heard that's going to be coming out, if not already. It should be pretty soon.
Got it. I mean, I'll look. I'll look into it. I mean, I dabble in the game space. You know, like I'm a shitcoiner through and through. So all hell keck Pepe. Uh, oh yeah, I've never even shown this to everybody. Yeah, so I got these little stickers and stuff. I just haven't put them out yet, but like got my little knights. This is my Knights of the Crypto Table Pepe right
Nice.
here. He'll defend me from shitcoinery. And then I've got this is my weightlifting Pepe. One day.
There you go. Work your way up. I gotta do one pull up first before I can do the
Yes.
weight on it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, have you ever done weighted pull-ups? It's kind of crazy. Like with the minute you take that weight off the belt, like once you have like 45 pounds or like 45-pound plate or like 2 plates or something like that, and you do like a couple reps, you take that shit off and you're just like you're
Yeah,
so
then it feels lighter. Yeah.
oh yeah. It's a cheat code. I mean, even if you just could do 1 rep with weight and just take that off, you'll be able
Well,
to
I beat the system because I just put 45 pounds of flab on, so then I don't have to worry about the weight, the natural weighting.
I think I'm challenging you a little bit on that one too.
By the way, oh man, I got a rotator cuff injury, so I've slowed down a lot, but I got to get back in and get back in the groove. I'm still bodied by COVID, which I know is no excuse, but
Got you.
yeah.
No, I pretty much was like since I got back from like Puerto Rico and stuff, I've been like I haven't missed a day in the gym. But magic, I got kind of fucked up because of Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving messed me up. Like basically, I didn't go to the gym that day. Was with family all day, eating bullshit all day, and then I went to go drink in the nighttime as well. And then I haven't been to the gym since like Thanksgiving, and then it's like my brother's birthday coming up as well. So I'm like, well, I just threw a whole week away. So there we go.
Yep.
Progress destroyed, but
That's common for Thanksgiving time, though. And then Christmas is coming up too, so
you got to sell this as a perfume, man. Body by COVID.
body by COVID. That could be. It's like Kramer's The Beach. Calvin
Oh, the
Klein's gonna
beach.
steal it from me. If you see it on the shelf, you know where it came from.
Right.
But you have to wear a mask when you wear it, so
Got it.
comes with a free mask.
I saw some crazy ass dude the other day. He was wearing like a. You ever seen like I don't know what that thing's called. It's like a children's like monkey. It's like a brown monkey with like little like with red lips and stuff and like a tongue. Well, someone was wearing a mask version of that, and he looked like Hannibal Lecter. And it was this old man. I don't think he knew what the hell he was wearing, but like imagine like an old man pants up to his belly button, like his shorts like up into his butt crack. This old man like in short shorts, wearing like clogs with like it was so I was like I almost thought it was a joke with how stereotypical it was. And then he turns around and then he's wearing like a Hannibal Lecter mask. Looks because the mask was like for a child, but on his face, so it only showed the red, so it looked like he was like some guy was like licking his tongue back and forth.
Well, I'm in Florida. That describes about half the people over here, so it'd be hard to put out an APB for that description. Just bring in half the community.
Yeah. But I've
seen some crazy nonsense since all this started. So
yeah, make sure to hit the like button, you guys, and shit.
Hit the likes.
Yeah, hit the likes, you guys. But I think we were saying something else before that about the game because we'll get the hex right now in a second. So there's just so much to talk about in the crypto space right now because I hear a lot of hexagons being kind of pissed off in terms like I'm actually happy that there's meme coins because it just onboards people in a way. Like you almost got to think of like a quadrant where like you have sort of like you've seen that whole thing where it's like a vertical and horizontal line, and you have like it's like libertarian, Republican, authoritarian, all that stuff, right? It's like 4 quadrants and stuff. Well, it's kind of like you have guys who like bought shitcoins, win-win, bought shitcoins, lost and stayed, or let's just be like one state, they won and they stayed, they lost and they stayed, they lost and they left. And then they basically, I think they won and they left, basically, right? So you have people who just like dabbled in shit coins, like got their 2x pump and then got out and left, basically, and things like that. So it's almost like in terms of like how much when people get into these kind of little shit coins and the meme coins, it's a good onboarding tool regardless, just because at least half of the people end up kind of, stay. Basically, or at least it's not the first time they hear about cryptocurrencies and stuff. So obviously, there's going to be a quarter of them just going to have a bad taste in their mouth because they just got completely wrecked and they left, and that's it.
No, it piques their interest and it gets people involved. And even again, back to the .com era, that was the same thing happened to people just FOMO'd into anything.com.
Yeah,
and some get burned, some don't come back. Most people will come back at some point. But if you fools rush in, right, and you get wrecked, now if you learn from your mistakes, then recalibrate. That's how most of us get where we are today. None of us just wandered into crypto knowing what we know. I think all of us got. I mean, I'll admit, I was a stupid ass in 2017. I
Right.
bought tons of shit in 2017. I bought almost anything Crypto Crow or one of these other guys was
Shout out
shilling.
Crypto
Crypto
Crow.
Crow, man, he's like every day, okay, what you got today?
Yeah.
Or Ivan on Tech or any of these people. And I didn't look into any of it. I didn't care. I was just like, okay, what's the next 100x, 1000x? Let's buy Tron. And then it all, substratum. I bought all in substratum, lost everything on it. So,
Oh man.
but exactly right. But that's how you learn. So
Yeah.
you FOMO tard in, and when you get hit, you take a step back. And now, fortunately, I found Richard at that time, which he was that guy that seemed to keep it real. He wasn't just trying to tell everybody what they wanted to hear. He was actually at first I was like, man, this guy's he's a bit of a downer. He's telling me that all this stuff's gonna die, and
Yeah.
we're going down for a while. But then you started listening to him, you're thinking, all right, he makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I see some of the errors in my ways and recalibrate and get back in and forge ahead.
Like what I would say about Richard, why he like really caught my eye back in 2017 is because he was really the only person that was doing any long, because I was a content devouring machine, because like I was working full time in my blue collar business. I just basically, I'm just doing all this work out here in the middle of these fields or these houses, and there's nobody around, so I'm like, I might as well pop in a couple headphones and listen to stuff all day, because it's better than, like, I'm going to be here all day anyway. So I would just, like, everyone was making 15, 30-minute videos, so I'm just doom. And then, like, I saw Richard's original interview what he did with Roger Ver. I think that was the first one I ever saw. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Watched that one. And it was like a good 2 hours. I was like, finally, someone did like a 2 hour something, because I was so used to like podcasts, like Joe Rogan's podcast and things like that when he was coming up. Yeah. Everything was 2 hours. So I was just like, finally, some YouTube guy that's doing like 2 hour shows, like, cool. So I listened to every time, but Richard wasn't that consistent back in the day. He would just drop one maybe once every 2 months or something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was very random.
Yeah, then he did my favorite one was the one when he did it with what's his name, the poker player, Doug Polk.
Doug Polk, that was a good one. Yeah.
Doug Polk was such a great. Like I watched every single thing Doug Polk did. I watched it. Like he was one of my favorite. He was like literally what made the bear market. Like him and Rachel Hart made it so like pleasant, or at least it made it bearable.
Yeah, I miss Doug Polk. Yeah.
Yeah, his heart wasn't in it and stuff. I mean, I was actually very irritated with him for a long time. I was like mad. Like I was kind of like I don't know, like an abandoned girlfriend or some shit. Like that's how I felt. Like I was like, he was doing all this crypto funny content and stuff, and then he just says like, you know what, I don't like crypto anymore, and he just left. And I was like, wow, okay.
He did a video explaining why he left, and it just wasn't making any money. The work that he put in, and it just there was other things he could broadcast that were going to give him revenue streams. And then crypto, he bought some Substratum too. I remember his show when he was taking like picks from the audience, and there was several of them that he put in, I don't know, like $100,000 he spread around or something. I think it all went to zero.
Did it all go to zero? Damn.
Maybe not all of it, but a lot of it did. Yeah.
Oh, well. I mean, hey, man. I mean, but he did get quite a lot of subscribers, so it's not like he didn't get anything out of it and stuff as well. But like, but in terms of like what I saw, Richard is just like he just consistently like it was like him and a couple other guys, and then as like we got deeper into 2018, quieter and quieter, and it was just him and maybe one other person here and there doing little videos. That's it. Like in terms of long term, it was Richard. Richard was the only guy doing like 2 hour live streams in the bear market, basically, unless you wanted to get a die of boredom if you want to watch Cardano.
Yeah, that's right. It was a ghost town, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it was great. And then he went. I think I don't know. I don't remember what stream it was, but like it must have been somewhere deep into 2018, 2019, or deep into 2018, where he said, "I'm thinking about making a coin."
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
all years in, yeah.
And then it was just and then I hadn't realized how long I've been waiting for that coin to drop. I was like, I even wrote it on my I used to have on my old house. Like I used to have this little like what do you call it? Like a little whiteboard on my fridge, and I said like get into Richard's coin, because I didn't even know what coin he was gonna launch. I was just like, remember Richard's gonna have a coin. It was on my refrigerator.
We were all counting down for that one, and we all probably jumped in too heavy on the first day of the adoption amplifier. even though we were warned
Y-
not to go in. I still went into heavy on day one. I couldn't
Yeah,
resist. Couldn't get past myself.
yeah. I would. I at least I saved myself from getting too wrecked because like I've said the story already in the past, but like I originally I typed in 12 Ethereum on the first day. I was going to do 12 Ethereum on the first day, and then something like I felt like a tap on my shoulder, almost like that's a lot of Ethereum. At least for me, that was a lot of Ethereum. I was like, you know what? I'll do 6 instead of 12. Fucking man, that was a save because that 6 extra Ethereum just turned into more hex because like I
Yeah.
was kind of
Yeah.
DCAing like 1 Ethereum a day basically. Yeah. But I knew people that did like 40, 50 hex. I mean 40, 50 Ethereum on the first day. Ouch.
No, I couldn't do anything like that. No, I was way less than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but hindsight's 2020. If you got in at all, I think during the AA phase, you're doing pretty well now.
Oh yeah, now it is. Yeah, I mean it took a while. I mean obviously it took 6, 7 months for like the day one guys to finally be above water. But like I think like there was a point in time like 4 months in where everyone other than day one were above water because day two was such a better deal than day one in terms of like I forget how much. I mean I have to look back. I know the numbers are there if we still look and stuff in terms of like if we actually look in terms of like what's on for that for in terms of the AA adoption amplifier and stuff and see how much Ethereum was put into it. But
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of Ethereum on day one, day two, and everything like that. And it was kind of funny just seeing it kind of teeter off. I mean, like, what was it, day 40 something, day 30 something, where there was like 230 ETH or something only. And like
Yeah.
ETH was only like $80. So there was like $23,000.
Yeah, it was really dirt cheap then. Yeah.
I mean, that one Ethereum, I think one Ethereum in the AA on the cheapest day, like, $500,000 today, probably at least. Like
Oh, definitely.
like
Yeah.
I remember like I mean, well, I don't want to snitch on myself, but like I was in on that day too, so I know for a fact. Like I kind of find it funny that like I knew because I did. I mean, I'll say it like I threw a full Ethereum on that day, and it makes me kind of laugh because like I see people all the time like. I've counted like the amount of people I've seen say that they were in on the cheapest day, and it was like mathematically it's impossible. Like, what do you guys like? The average person, even if like as an example, like everyone was doing like even a tenth of an Ethereum on that day.
Yeah.
Like how can there be 600 people, 1,000 people that, that put on the cheapest day? It doesn't even make sense because like some.
No, nobody was buying back then. I mean,
Right.
when it was at the all-time lows, very few people got in. I didn't get the bottom, so
Oh, Versology, my God. I mean, that looks
but
like a
it's
great deal today. I think, right? $4,000.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good deal. I mean, I could look it up real quick. I mean, I don't know about you. Are you getting shit for this too? Because like sometimes I pull up Nomics or Coin Market or Coin Gecko and stuff, and people are like, "How dare you use those websites? Those filthy
Oh, I do, but I tell everybody I don't give a shit.
yeah,
Go watch somebody because I like Nomics. The whole drama with Nomics.
yeah,
I mentioned this in one of my rants the other day. I'm like, look, I didn't give a shit about Nomics when it was popular. I don't give a shit about it now. I never used it in the first place. I always use CoinGecko because I just like the interface better. So they don't rank us. Okay, well, it can be fixed or somebody else takes their place or whatever. And even that, with the people that find it on, it would be nice to be ranked accordingly, right? If you're in the
yeah,
front page, at least the top 10. But then a lot of the people that are going to jump in that just FOMO into crypto and just throw into the top 10, they dump immediately when there's any volatility or some other shiny object. So I don't
right.
know that we're missing a ton of those benefits from those people. It's just the press. But look,
Yeah,
yeah,
this community has been shit on. I mean, I've gotten shit for saying this, like saying like we're the fucking Jews of like the cryptocurrency space. I mean, we're just getting tossed from place to place, like everywhere. Like, hey, let's go make this place popular. Hey, well, I have no use for you guys anymore, so get the fuck out. And I'm like, okay. And then here we go from Uniswap over to Nomics. Now we're getting pushed away from Nomics, and let's go make something else popular. And we're just like crossing that fucking that ocean of sea for 40 years of Moses, I guess. Looking for like
that's
the
pretty
Holy Land.
much right. I mean, yeah, it is very similar in that way. But a lot of the animosity and hate that's towards Hex it's not towards the product at all. It's all just towards Richard. I mean,
Yeah.
he's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the space just because he's upfront and especially in his early days when you watch his streams well before Hex, he had firefights with a lot of people about things. So he certainly was never the most he had his followers even back then, but he also had plenty of haters, even in those times.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Bristology with the stats right here. Yeah, so day one of the AA, if you FOMOed in like me and Pep, 47K hex per Ethereum, which we were underwater on for quite a while, and
Yeah,
then day four, just 4 days later, 263,000 hex for one Ethereum. Quite a big deal. Quite a big difference, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's not counting now. The thing about Hex though that is nice is if you're staked out all that time,
yeah,
you're still well in the lead no matter where, and big payday, of
correct.
course, if you got all that. So
Yeah,
that it's all even with the price down today, people that bought in at 50 cents, 40 cents, whatever, and they're complaining. But if you're staked out, you're automatically going to average that down
right.
and become profitable over time.
Yeah,
Won't be in a day, but I mean it's going to take a little while. But at least you have that working, for you.
yeah,
And then with the Pulse airdrop coming up and the copy, it's kind of interesting. And I could get your thoughts on this. So
yeah.
people that are dumping massive bags now, and if you watch Hex Whalebot on Twitter,
Mm.
there's always the comments like, "Oh my God, are you crazy? You got the copy. You're giving all away." I agree with that, but do you think that it's because people are worried that Hex on ETH is really just going to die and it will just transition over to Pulse and Hex will only be valuable on Pulse?
No, no, and so I mean, no, it's just okay. So okay, it's Hex on Ethereum is going to get boring for a while. What's
Yeah,
going to happen is the Hex on Ethereum is going to be controlled by whales more so than it is now, because a lot of the small players, it's kind of what's going. You can almost attribute. I mean, this is not fair to Hex, but it's a good example. And just to answer some guys in the chat right now with the metaphor when I said about the Jews, like you guys, it was just metaphor. I'm just fucking making an example. It's just a joke, you guys. Like Jesus Christ. Like, I'm just basically saying we're a group of people that keep getting kicked. We better make places better, and then they kick us the fuck out after they use us up.
yeah.
In a way, like it's fucked up. And that's all I'm saying there. Like chill the fuck out. Anyway. And I'm
We
also
won't
saying
be
if you look up
sensitive. Yeah.
stereotypes too, then we're saying we're rich as fuck. So I mean take that as you will. But but in terms of like e-hex and stuff like that, I mean e-hex, yeah. What's going to happen is I don't think the e-hex price is going to stay stable. I think it's going to be at a certain price point, nothing exciting for a while. And there's going to be time. What's going to happen is like I'm calling it the trifecta or something like that, and you're going to have p-hex. Well, I guess now it's the box more than anything. Now it's like because it's 4 points, not because we have a thing, but there's going to be money being flowed from pulse to p-hex to hex back, and like that there's going to be like big money's going to be moving like this in waves like this. So now I guess it's four. I guess people taking profits in their shit coins, pumping pulse, then money going to p-hex rebalancing, and then people from p-hex rebalancing their money into e-hex, basically the
Yeah.
whales. And so all the whales are going to be rebalancing because it's kind of stupid. It's like I'll be doing that personally. Like I'm just going to keep growing my bag in all four, getting richer in the whole system. So it doesn't matter what happens
That's
at
my
all.
strategy. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
the way
think.
to do it.
Yeah.
You could maximize one side in terms of like a new person in Hex, right? Like obviously P Hex is the move for a new person because it's going to be cheap. It's sort of like so just to go back to the other example I was saying before the whole Jew thing, but the thing with like with P Hex and everything like that is there's these projects called like Olympus DAO and Wonderland Time, right?
I'm
They're
familiar with
kind of
Dal. Yeah.
light Ponzi-ish sort of tokens. It's if you really look at what it is, it's a new way to essentially it's a new IDO, a new type of IDO or new IPO or ICO, I should say. It's just it just catches like people's attention because it's a super high APY. But if you actually look at it, like it's actually going on, it's basically doubling the supply every 15, 20 days. But it starts at a very low supply. So by a couple of years, it's really only like at a kind of like a very small percentage of a supply. So it's like if you start with 15,000 tokens and then over a year it'll inflate to like 1,000,000 tokens, which is significant in terms of APY if you see it. But if you actually look at it, it's like it's only 1,000,000 tokens, so it's not that many tokens in a way. So that's kind of what's going on there. But what I mean is like you have a project like Olympus DAO, which was like the original one who started this whole thing with that system, and then there was a second system created on Avalanche. Same system, just a couple of different upgrades. What happened is that we were starting to get more retail playing around on Avalanche on that one because the fees are lower. Where on Ethereum, it's starting to become like only whales can really play on Ethereum because the gas fees are just tremendous, basically. So you need to be at a certain size in order to fucking colon. God damn it, fucking motherfucker.
That's a clever one there.
Whew, I ain't gonna put that on the screen, but god damn
No,
it,
I saw it. I see it. Yeah.
damn. Sorry, that caught me off guard. But basically that's what's going on is like now because the Ethereum gas fees keep climbing, and then during times when prices are increasing, both chains do well. But when prices stop increasing or even go down, what happens is the small little buyers will always gravitate towards the easiest road. So you're going to end up having probably more buying pressure on the PHEX side just because it's cheaper. And then like I can't like I can't tell a guy like some guys like they come into like the courses or just come into hexes the first time and all they have is like 20,000 hex, which is a good bag, right? Good bag,
Right.
starting bag of hex. And like, how do I tell them like, all right, bro, you have to do a 6,000 hex for 10 years to get a t-shirt, or 6,500 hex to get a t-shirt and stuff. And then you do two stakes and you're basically out of hex, basically. Right. And you can't, like, I wish I could tell somebody like, oh yeah, just stake 1,000 hex for like every year and stuff. And for like 15 years and keep 5,000 liquid. And, then imagine if gas fees weren't a problem, even though it's a tiny amount of hex, it would, they still would have some hex coming out every year, right? Obviously we want more size, but like you can't do that on eHex. With pHex, you probably could for a long time,
And for the new people, that's actually that's very much the problem is the ETH gas and the cost. Like you said, a lot of people that I brought on board, they're excited to get into Hex more. They like Hex, they just hate the ETH gas. So when the Pulse chain comes out, and I keep telling them a similar strategy, if they have a smaller bag, I'm hesitant to tell them to stake. I mean, I know the T-share value and all that, but I hate to see them stake out even for a year, and then they have to completely forfeit the stake
Yeah.
if gas is still out of control. It could easily consume their entire position. So I've been telling them kind of the same thing. Like, look, Pulse should be launching mainnet hopefully within the next 3 to 6 months. You're going to get your copy there. Then your liquid position on ETH, maybe you got some flexibility, do what you want there, and you can be a little more dynamic with your ladder on Pulse and then move all your assets there until till maybe ETH gets fixed enough where it's usable. Because everything in ETH is broken. I mean, ETH is busting at the seams. There's nothing that's even the guys that are pro ETH, like Chico Crypto and all these guys, they're bitching about it too all the time. The ETH gas is just out of control.
It's fucking it's great. And let me tell you why. It's really simple what's going on. There's basically a giant payola scheme going on with the miners. So all right. So Arbitrum, Optimism, and all this stuff that we were like. So I was pretty heavy in like Uniswap and Synthetics and Aave and a lot of these coins. I still have all my coins. I've downsized them a little bit, maybe 20% off the top of everything, and moved the money into the gaming sector, which did pretty good. So happy about that. But those coins underperformed because we were promised upgrades that were going to happen, and basically they were essentially bastardized and because of the miners. So what's going on right now is because they've set a hard date, more or less, that like, okay, by sometime in the middle of next year, they should go over into the. So we're going to get an upgrade, and I think in the next month, that's like it's an upgrade for the upgrade. So you get this upgrade here, and then finally when the main ETH 2.0 upgrade happens, the merge basically that gets rid of the miners. And then now Ethereum actually becomes deflationary, but that doesn't actually get rid of the gas fee problem, right? So what's going on is we're essentially what the Ethereum network is doing is, so because they don't want trouble with the fork and they don't want all this miner trouble, they said this, okay, we're going to allow you to fucking gouge our system in terms of fees and make as much money as possible. You're still going to earn your fees, and on top of that, you also can stake your coins and even earn yield on your coins even now. So they've gotten like everything. So they've gotten increased revenue in terms of fees. They continued ETH miner revenue. And then on top of that, they can stake their Ethereum and earn yield. So they're getting like payola on that side of it. So they're just basically giving a huge payout and bastardizing the Ethereum system, which would have upgraded already at least by now. We should have at least already been 6 months into ETH upgrades, and they've just not allowed it in order to allow that basically. So once the Ethereum miners are out of there and that's not their business model anymore to earn like that, what's going to happen is they're going to start releasing upgrades with like ZK rollups at some point. Even though they're going to be, it's not perfect. And it's also like, zero knowledge proofs, same thing. It's not going to be
Yeah.
perfect, but there's actually going to be some upgrades on Ethereum within 6 to 8 months into next year. Once that happens, the gas fees will probably cut down 50x or plus or more, basically. But
Okay, that
it's
makes
going
sense.
to be a roll. It's going to be a rolling problem because as soon as you free up, like it's like you have a 3-car highway, a 3-car lane highway and stuff. You make it 6, 7 lanes, then magically people bring more cars on the highway, and then it gets clogged again. So
Right.
yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen with Ethereum is that. So, but the reason we have at least having, like, I would still be like, fuck man, if I can get a 6-lane highway, I mean, do it now. But they're not. That's not going to happen until the miners are out of here. Basically.
Well, I heard there was a problem with the algorithm too.
Yeah.
It's after the London fork or the Berlin, maybe the London, where this is where it randomly spikes like ridiculous amounts and it fluctuates like that. And I think it was Vitalik was saying there was some kind of error, some kind of intermittent bug with the
Mm,
gas calculation algorithm where you'll get these random spikes where you see this GUI just go skyrocket and
mm,
then come back. I don't remember what the root cause of it was. It's supposed to be fixed in one of the upcoming
right.
forks, but that's not probably like what you're saying. That makes a little more sense as far as the overall gas problem
Yeah.
with these. So
It's a payola system. They're paying off the miners so they don't have trouble like old time. Like they don't want another Ethereum Classic fucking fork again
so
to
they don't
happen.
want to piss them off and they go run off and say screw you. We're just going to keep mining on this other chain
Yeah,
and not
it's
switch the network. Okay.
total mafia fucking payola shit. Like get out rid
Yep.
because they're basically getting rid of, like, basically there's really only, like, it's not the only way to make profits, but like the two big profit makers in mining are Ethereum and Bitcoin. Well, you're about to get rid of Ethereum, so shit. There's really only Bitcoin, and then, like, I guess maybe Litecoin, and then you got some other small ones and stuff, but that's about it. Like in terms of, like, mining algorithm, like in ways like making money off of mining, it's starting to die out a little bit.
Yeah.
There's still, and then if I say that out loud, some guys are, it's not dying out. The Bitcoin mining industry is growing. No, but yeah, sure, but like it's one coin. There's like needs
Yeah.
to be multiple coin, and that's the only thing. So we're going to proof of stake whether we like it or not. And this is Gambino or Garbargino. But that's basically what's going on with Ethereum. Like, I think we're going to have much more upgrades, but this is where, like, we're kind of unique in terms of, like, going to Pulse Chain, because if you look at most other chains, like they're pretty much just completely going off of like low fees, where like we can change our narrative very quickly, and then also we have a charismatic leader that can just basically shit on everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't heard too many people say this other than maybe like me and who else? If I can remember the name of who said it, I think maybe Wales may have said this as well, where like basically we can copy pasta anything Ethereum does correct, and then then we can add upgrades that Ethereum won't add because they're too chicken shit to do them, basically. So we can
True.
effectively, because I mean we could copy upgrades from Phantom if we wanted to, because they're EVM compatible. So any EVM compatible chain, we can take any upgrade that they have and just fucking upgrade Pulse Chain if we want to from there, and then add our own thing. So we have subsidized research teams. Basically, everyone's subsidizing our upgrades, basically. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. And then two, if Ethereum does something pretty stupid, like do an upgrade that we think is kind of dumb, then we just don't do it, and we
Yeah.
stay
We can just
awesome.
omit it. Yeah.
So we're much more nimbler as a chain compared to anyone else. Where like a Solana, a Phantom, or an AVAX, basically every other chain, I feel a little bit more tight on their stuff because they have this roadmap where we're just going to try to get better at any point possible. I mean, just like if it fucking makes us cooler, we'll do it. If not, we can roll back the chain. It's kind of a cool thing where like we have the best of both worlds. We're gonna start off a little more centralized, but then go decentralized, but still have like the king. So there's this whole thing in if you look at kingdoms or like back in like in Europe and stuff, it was like a flip of a coin, you'd have a crazy king or a good king, But when you had a good
Yeah.
king, your country would advance rapidly, basically. And then if we have a shitty king, your country would go to shit, basically. So because we have what's called Richard here, we have a good king, so we do have sort of the benefits of having like a monarchy in a way, where because Richard's a good king, he's be able to do upgrades correctly to us. We're able to then advance very quickly and nimbly. So it's like we're like a lean startup with that whole king mentality thing, where we have somebody like calling the shots a little bit. which is kind of cool. And then we just have, everyone just brings good ideas from like, hey, I saw this on Phantom. You should probably do this. And then Richard will look at it and says like, yeah, that's pretty good. What do you guys think? Okay. Stamp. That upgrade wasn't as cool as we thought it was. Let's just roll it back. Okay. And then and for other chains, it's this huge governance problem, and it becomes like this huge event. Like, if they do ever do a bad upgrade, it's like I think if like let's just say we ever upgraded Pulse Chain and it was a huge mistake, we could say like, well, that like we could say fuck that sucked. Yeah, we're just gonna roll it back into it and go back to what it used to be. Yeah, and then where if Solana did some fucking retarded upgrade, man, it would be really bad for them, basically.
Yeah, and even Richard, like recently, just decided to remove that whole freemium, withdrawal for if you didn't move it to another wallet, because he said it was going to be too much problems, take too much time to develop. Where you get that whatever freemium you get, you had 30 days for Pulse.
Right.
You had to move it to another wallet, or it was going to be taken away, and he's gotten rid of that.
Gotcha.
He said he's just going to let you keep it.
So, that's the one I'm a little like. I don't like. I guess for long-term onboarding that's good, but that means that there's always going to be danger when you're yield farming stuff, because you can totally get fucked or dumped on if we ever build up the price on the coins. It's like, so if you like in terms, how on the waffle swap or Pulse, whatever everyone we're calling, whatever, I'm gonna call it Pulse swap for now. Pulse swap. Yeah. Yeah. Some people are like, that's not the name. Richard said this, and then I'm like, all right, guys, but like it's the easiest fucking word we can put for that. Yeah. Once we have the actual official name, I will literally call it the official name.
Yeah.
But Pulse swap, right? If we have Pulse swap, right? So let's just say I have Chainlink as an example, right? And then like I get the copy of Chainlink. I basically bridge over my Chainlink, my Chainlink over here, fuse it together, and I'm yield farming Pulse swap token. Well, it could be sort of a thing where people finally build up the ecosystem to the point where like that Chainlink price is actually equal to, or at least a decent price. And then here could come in some fucking asshole Chainlink whale and then just dump the fuck and just steal money from like hexagons, basically, in a way too. Because you are providing liquidity, right? So some could just sell a ton of the actual real stuff, or sell their copy and just get a bunch of real Chainlink and then just take it and just fuck off with Chainlink, basically. So I have to see how it totally works and stuff, but like that is a big danger, and like where people have to be kind of careful with their yield farming, because there could be assholes doing that sort of shit.
I'm sure some will, maybe, if a coin does run up like that and they had a big copy on Pulse.
Right.
But there's a lot of variables there too. I mean, that it would kind of, maybe short-term volatility be bad, but if it brings a lot of interest to Pulse chain for that coin, long-term could still be good.
Just remember, you guys, stack your wealth in PHEX, Pulse chain, and fucking Hex, and you should be like, just be careful. Like of course, having like there's projects like what's that project? Oh my god. Liquid Loans or something like that. Since that's not getting much of a copy, that possibly could be one that'd be hard to dump and stuff. But like stuff like that, I think like would be a little safer to hold and stuff. But obviously, I have to see projects. Obviously, be careful with meme coins for obvious reasons, right? But you just have to be careful. But I mean, yeah, you're right. In terms of long-term like growth, it is kind of cool, because eventually there will be this whole thing where like a lot of if there is a bunch of people onboarding from other communities, that eventually you get most of that money picked up the free coins, and then that would cause a lot of traffic to the system, which just makes everyone richer overall, which is cool.
Yeah. I mean, the no-brainers obviously for building wealth would be Hex, both chains, Pulse. But are there any alts you see going to Pulse that you think have real promise for adoption, and maybe for the developers, the communities, use cases that might be embraced more on Pulse than ETH?
Right.
Because people are always asking, what do you think is going to be a good play on Pulse, besides obviously Pulse and Hex?
Right.
Like to own.
We're probably Spell Token, the Mimblewimble. I mean, not Mimble. I'm sorry. Fucking Magical Internet Money, that token. So I know for a fact that they're bridging over to Solana and Phantom. I mean, they're already on Phantom, but they'll bridge over to Solana and every other chain. So they're chain agnostic. They said they will jump to every chain. They're like, at some point they said they'll go on Tron if they have to. So they're trying to dominate the whole space. So we will have Spell Token. which is magical internet money created by Daniel. He will at some point be on Pulse Chain, especially if it become like the name of the like a big big name in terms of like, holy fuck, the biggest airdrop in history is happening. Holy shit! And he's a Pepe Frog guy. He calls himself one of the frog, the leader of the Frog Nation. So abracadabra and stuff. So more than likely, he's gonna like launch projects on Pulse Chain at some point. So that means like maybe Popsicle Finance and maybe Time possibly, which is Wonderland, will probably jump over as well. There's a couple other projects too. So obviously AnySwap, which is the biggest bridge in all of cryptocurrencies now, will probably have a Pulse Chain swap at some point. I think they did announce it actually, if I remember correctly. I think they did. Yeah, they said that they will bridge over because they're playing a game of bridge. So the winning strategy right now is you're finding a good product that, because we're getting into the point where like there's so many fucking chains that it's like, who the fuck knows who's going to win anymore? Like it's getting to the point. Like back in the day, it's so easy to tell. Like if let's just say as an example, like if like there was Ethereum and then Pulse Chain and just Solana, it'd be like, oh yeah, Pulse and Solana are they going to be the ones that are going to survive? Duh. You got Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and you got Dr. Pepper. Cool. And 7-Up and that. Cool. But now there's like a million fucking sodas and shit. And it's this whole thing where like so you have fucking Kusama, Dot, Solana, Avalanche, Ethereum, Phantom, Pulse Chain. I mean, you have Tron's network, you have Cardano, you have Harmony One. I mean, like I can just keep going on in terms of like how many chains are going on. That now, like I think what's going on, projects are starting to get like, oh shit, it's not so easy anymore. Now you actually have to really, really like have like a little bit of foresight and seeing like what's going to survive. It's really easy for me to choose like Pulse Chain as one of the chains that's going to survive because we have essentially the community to survive because we're one of the few communities that legitimately started during a bear market, right?
Yeah.
So the core, at least the OGs. I mean, sure. I mean, like you're seeing a lot of the babies right now. Like some people bought Hex at 40 cents or something like that, and then it's down right now. Well, welcome to crypto. This is crypto. I mean, like fuck. We're literally kicked in the teeth every 6 months, basically in crypto. So it's like normal. But yeah.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see how all that plays. I mean, the system state copy, that's definitely a first mover for a new chain, right? To pull everything in like Richard's doing. So Pepsi and Coke.
Versology, goddammit.
He's always got something fun to say.
Yeah.
But the Pulse swap, and this one I think is going to be interesting. When Richard was tweeted yesterday about another sacrifice phase
Mhm.
for Pulse swap, there wasn't really any details around it. What's your thoughts on that?
If we're lucky, it's going to be the same thing, same system, a copy pasted system of what happened for Pulse Chain. I think it was pretty much needed. Basically, we needed another event to suck up supply because we do. I mean, obviously, right? So you've been on Hex for a long time, right? So obviously, Hex launched in December of 2019. Then we had sort of this thing where like the average, like at least for me and everyone else, like we kind of ran out of money around fucking by February. Basically, we kind of ran out of TCA money out of February. So if you look at it, right, like the most amount of Hex stakes come out is December, January, February, a little bit of March, and it starts going like real light for the summer months, and then picks up around August, September, November, and then now December. So it's this whole thing where like back in the day, Richard would tell us like, yeah, you can stake out to 555. It's cool to throw a couple YOLO stakes out there, but I don't see much of a point of staking past 10 years. So like, all right, Captain. Yeah. And so we only so it fucked a lot of my stakes up, but like so a lot of OG money in Hex is like staked out between 1 to 10 years. So we emergency unstaked all the 1 year stakes and some of the 2 years that we could squeeze them a little bit, but like pretty fucked on the 3s, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9s, and 10s, right? So what happened was there's a lot of Hex always come. So like because we didn't even have a calculator back in the day, like I would do okay, how many days in a year? 365. So I'd be like 365 times 3. And then we would input the numbers like that basically, or look on a calculator. It was like literally we're doing stakes by abacus.
Yeah. I remember putting that Excel sheet together so I could try to figure it out on my own to see how that might work out. And even then, it's just there's a lot of variables you just have to guess at where it'll be. Payout per T share and all that thing too. I wonder though if the sac phase would be only Hex that you could sacrifice.
Ooh, that is interesting. I mean,
now, I don't know if they would do that, but the reduced supply possibly is an incentive.
I do see less interest on this one versus the other one. This is the like I saw some people like obviously I know when I sort of felt like when some people were kind of lying, they're saying I'm not gonna get pulse chain, I'm a Hexagon, I'm only gonna, and then like there they are fucking sacrificing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But with this one, I legitimately I am talking to a lot of people, and they're kind of like like legitimately like, man, I don't know if I want to like. So it would be interesting if it was all hex, but since they are trying to get other, I personally don't think so, because this is going to be like this is going to be our basically our pancake swap token basically. So this is going to be like the shitcoin token. So we do want to take a lot of shitcoin money. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some pancake swap money, some BNB tokens going to be accepted, DAI as well, and all those stables. So
I doubt it would be only hex. I think you're right.
it
It's
would
going to
be
be
cool though.
copy pasta from the other sack phase, but
Yeah, that'd be really, really interesting if it was only hex, basically. But yeah, I mean, basically, if you like, what's the utility of pulse swap token? I mean, pretty much look what pancake swap token's utility is, and that basically would be it. And maybe a couple added features, because I know Richard's pretty good with tokenomics and stuff, so he'd probably add some extra little like gamify features and game theory to it.
yeah.
But pretty much, you would get some of the you would get a lot of revenue divs. So like, if you have it staked and stuff, you're gonna if people are buying and trading on these pairs and stuff, you probably get 30-40% of the trading fees of the token in whatever that token is, and then that's pretty much it basically. And then
Well, what I found interesting in his tweet too is he said it would likely be a few weeks before the launch of mainnet that he would have a sack phase. So that might give you like an indicator when that goes live, approximately when mainnet might be launched. No guarantees, right? But that would be interesting as well. If that's a trigger point for more price up and maybe hex and excitement in general. Because there's no doubt, I think again, a lot of the people get this. We all sacrificed a while ago. Not a lot's happening that we can see, and people are getting anxious, and they want Pulse to launch. I think there'll be a lot of pent up excitement. When Pulse actually goes live, it's going to be a bit crazy because you've got all these other things going on. It's not just one token anymore.
Yeah. It's gonna be quite a crazy ass sort of game and stuff like that. I mean, like what Richard's doing is he's creating these little events, news event parts to pump the price of Hex and stuff, and keep excitement in the game and stuff. And it's pretty smart too to have like that sacrifice phase, whether it's in December. Well, it's gonna have to be sometime in December, January, basically, but
yeah,
December, January for that to happen for the sacrifice phase for that project. And obviously we do need it just because to give us another news event, as well as like it sucks up that supply, like with all that. So at the very least it could possibly, like, if let's just say I knew a couple of big whales, and then they're on staking a ton of Hex right now. Instead of selling it, they're like, I'll just keep it for a little bit, let's see what happens, just to see what happens. That's a lot of like sell pressure that doesn't happen on the price, which is pretty important. So it's like,
true.
At the very least it causes the whales or some of the bigger players to be like, I'll hold on a little bit longer. Let's see what happens. And then too, I mean, by now anyone who's been in Hex, I mean, especially if they're a whale or a shark or something like that, it's kind of crazy they haven't taken profits yet, or not on anything. That's kind of like insane, basically. Like so it isn't like they're hurting for money. So I don't know.
I think looking at the charts, it's obvious some people are taking profits even when they say they aren't.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
The token, not the tokenomics. What do we call that? Like the on-chain analytics don't lie.
Yeah. But it's look. I look back to just the beginning of this year when Hex hit just 2 cents at New Year's, and then it dipped down and we got back up a little bit. People have been selling all along the way. There's people that were dumping millions of Hex at 5 cents, thinking they got out on the bubble. 10 cents, same thing, all the way up to 50, and then even right now. But how many millions, hundreds of millions, have flushed out already from people that would be dumping at $1 when we get to that. So I try to look, at that as like, okay, I know there's still a lot of liquid in the space.
Yeah.
But then those, to your, when we open the stream, talking about people that are good actors, good whales, good sharks, whatever, people that maybe have a lot, but don't dump it all. Maybe just take small portions that play it smart.
Yeah, bro, I'm not dumping the price, bro. Just trust, bro. No, just
Yeah.
I don't worry, bro. If I ain't gonna dump the price, I'm only buying right now. No,
Oh, yeah. I only ever buy and stake, and only 5 stakes. I don't have anything but
yeah,
15
And
years, right? So
that's something we should talk about too, man. Because like, oh man, I am not a proponent of that shit at all. Like I'm an income ladder guy. I've always have been, always will be. My grandpappy taught me how to income ladder and stuff, and I'll die before I stop income laddering and stuff. But in terms of like
yeah,
the jokes and stuff like that, but like I do hear a lot of irresponsible shit in terms of like I really do like I do admire some of the guys inside the Pulse Chain chat, you know, the little Telegram chat helping
yeah,
noobs out
I
and stuff.
listen to that time and again. Yeah,
But I've heard some retarded shit on that chat. Like
yeah.
so where I had to like take my headphones off and it's like, nah, I'm out. Like
I've
it,
turned it off several times. Yeah,
yeah. So one is telling people to sacrifice still.
yeah,
And that and what like either one, they're just it's blissful, it's just ignorance, they just don't know. Or two, they're just trying to get rid of hex out of people's hands, which is fucked up, right?
yeah,
Two, telling people like you were saying earlier, I was gonna say this earlier, but like we just wanted to finish the points, but um like telling people to stake with a little bit of hex just so they get the I've been hearing people just stake your hex right now, you're gonna get the copy of it, who cares about the Ethereum hex? Well, they're just getting rid of your liquid hex, you know,
yeah,
out of your pocket. So you're kind of where if you just keep the like you were saying, just keep the liquid hex, then you still have the liquid hex. You can just you're not getting no big payday bonus anyway. So it's like you can just stake that hex when Pulse Chain launches. You still get those T shares, even though the T share price goes up a little bit, but you still have the liquid hex there, which is what you can just sell to get more P hex if that's what you wanted. So there's more. So there's like win-win for you, and then what they're trying to do is like lose win for them, so where they get a win out of you losing,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some games with all that goes on in there, and then some people just don't shut the hell up, or they're on the throne. So I'll tune in and out. There's good info on Pulse Chain Chat.
Oh,
I
of
mean,
course.
overall, a lot of good info. But yeah, I'm in the same camp when it comes to that, and it sucks to see people when they get a little bit misleaded like that,
Hmm.
and then they're going to realize down the road that you know they made a mistake, or that
Right.
so they got screwed somehow. But again, that guy goes back to the point too of doing your own research as well. But then when you're talking to Pulse Chain Chat, at least you're hoping
Yeah.
that you're getting some unbiased advice or suggestions.
Yeah. I'll still jump in there from time to time to help people out, but then I don't know. I just feel like sometimes people are in the chat just because they want to be popular instead of helping people out or something like that. Or like
There's
I don't
that.
know. Yeah.
No, there's that. There's the egos that get bloated. You get a fan base, and then got to be in there all the time to be praised. Yeah, I'm like everything in moderation, and balance it out. And in crypto, you always have to put yourself in check. The type of asset that it is, all crypto.
Right.
I mean, it's wild speculation. There's no really guarantee with any of this stuff. I think
Yeah.
there's probabilities for things that are much better to survive and thrive, like Hex, Pulse, some of the ones we talked about. But there's a lot of, and even those are still speculation. But there's a lot of stuff that's just blatant garbage,
Right.
that you can run into as well.
Yeah. I mean, I hope I've taught people enough over the years to like know that like when something's like I saw a lot of guys talking about Snowdot, like they're looking into these Ohm forks or like Olympus DAO forks and stuff, and there's like one's called Snowdog, and I'm just like, you guys, like the name, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's like you're like safe ship dog moon coin. I'm like, you guys, it was in the name. Like you knew it was a rug, bro. It was like, I promise I'm not gonna rub you. I have free candy in the van coin. I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
you guys, like it's in the name.
And I've had some people in regular walks of life that are new to crypto, where they just assume things. They were arguing the other day that you own part of like a stock, like a company, part of the project. I'm like, no, there's no ownership rights with crypto. I mean, you don't own a bag of crypto and have a say in the project. There's nobody working for you, like you would in, say, a stock market. You would actually own a share of the company. Even then, unless you've got a ton of shares in Class A or something like that, you're not going to get any say that's going to mean anything. But
Right,
yeah, you are owning a position, but there's a mindset around it because it's structured very similarly, where you think it's a stock and that kind of thing. So people run into, again, some of these food coins, dog coins, other thing. They think that because Elon tweeted that it's going to be the new money, he's going to put a Doge. One guy actually bought Doge because
right.
Elon's going to put a Doge coin on the moon. I'm like, well, what the hell is that supposed to do? for the value? What it's a publicity stunt, great if it ever happens, but how does that make this thing, more functional? Why would I use it just because somebody put one on the moon?
Right. And there is like new coins like DAOs and stuff where you can't like there is governance tokens, but like they're kind of even a facade in a way too, because like um you actually so like I participated in stuff like a spooky swap DAO vote and stuff. Cool, I voted. Yeah, I won, and got the proposal. I won one right, but I realistically don't have in most projects. I realistically don't have enough of that token to ever even put up a proposal. So I'm really just saying yes or no to stuff that other people are saying yes or no to. And if you really look into like who owns the proportion of coins, right? Usually there's big whales and there's like cohorts of people, the team and stuff like that. So imagine like I start a company or I start a coin and then I have a DAO. I mean, I'm fully. If I say in the papers like, hey, like I'm going to control most of this coin, so I'm going to say yes or no to most stuff, but I'm going to allow you guys to vote here and there on stuff. Be like, okay, he was being honest about it. So it's like, yeah, if there's a disclosure somewhere where it's what I'm literally telling you, like, hey, I own most of the coin, and I'm voting for yes, like I'm gonna propose stuff, but I will go off of the community vote. Okay, cool. But if it's that's not disclosed, right? So there's this fake democracy going on with like people are thinking with DAOs and shit. It's totally a fucking like monarchy or like a plutocracy basically of the
Yeah.
super rich in that project where they're the run. It's fake vote. Like I ever imagine like actually the perfect example of this too was like when Richard's talking about the Uniswap when they launched, right? That like you it take $100 million of fucking Uniswap token when it was like when it launched when it got airdropped to us when it was like $5 to $10 or something in order to even do a vote. So
Yeah.
where the fuck were you gonna get $100 million?
He had a live stream about that. I remember. Yeah, and he was talking about
Yeah,
there's duct taped on a token, and you'd need so much, even then. And he made a point too. He goes, "Well, even these big whales, do they necessarily, have the right ideas? You really want them making decisions about which way to go with this? Who knows what they're thinking?
right.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
a
I,
long ways to go with all that.
Yeah. So I mean, I one strategy that I found is probably like the best strategy in crypto is just fuck. You're just better off betting on the person making the coin than you are anything else on the coin because a lot of like since this market's still controlled by humans, it's not an AI driven market in terms of like algorithms. It's a bunch of oh my god, bro. It's a whole lot of like stuff like like Richard created a token, right? So if Richard, originally Richard was going to create I forgot the fucking name of it, but basically it was going to be a mining algorithm coin that instead of doing SHA two
I
five
remember
six,
that. Yeah, I
yeah,
wasn't even interested in that one though.
yeah, I was gonna ape in anyway, just because like Richard's gonna make a coin, so I mean it's not gonna be
Yeah,
shitty. So it's like that's stuff like that, and then it's funny as simplistic as that simple Jack as that is as a strategy, it's worked fucking flawlessly
yeah,
in crypto for the
yeah,
past two cycles because like we're a bunch of fucking apes, orangutans, and fucking bonobos and gorillas and shit, and like
yeah.
whatever we're a bunch of fucking chimpanzees basically. We're like oh leader, he's smart. I like, I ape. And
Run
then
in. Yeah,
and then coin go up magically. That's what it is. Like you got fucking, like, I mean, you have like Vitalik Buterin, right, with Ethereum, and people like, that guy's smart. And like, since he's smart and it might work, right? And then you have like that Cardano guy, Charles
Hoskinson.
Hopkinson, right? He didn't
Yeah,
disappear. Like, I'll give this to Charles. I'll give this to Charles. He didn't disappear in the bear market. Even though he was like honey dick in his community, he never disappeared and was like literally saying like, I'm here, I'm still working. And people said like it's a safety blanket. Same thing with Richard Hart. Richard Hart's here doing live streams still, talking about Hex, like Hex project still good. Richard, believe, I know, leave, I buy. And you see this across the board. So all coins who have this figurehead leader and stuff do unbelievably well because it's essentially not just a marketing campaign in a way, but it's also it's a safety blanket and assurance of like, okay, there's still work on. I'm okay. My decision wasn't terrible, and it's pretty powerful because if you look at coins, like the two most important, when I have something called the box, right? Like the two most important things are the leader of the project and the community, right? If you have a community like Hex does, and on top of that you have a charismatic leader, the rest doesn't even fucking matter at the end of the
yeah.
day.
Hex has all the winning factors, and look, even
Right.
Richard with Pulse. People still try to go money grab, money grab. Like, no, he's trying to save his product. He's trying to save the community. He wants the ecosystem to grow. He didn't have to do any of this. He could have just left Hex where it was and said, "Hey guys, it's not my problem. It's ETH." sorry about your luck. Maybe Vitalik, maybe it gets fixed down the road. But if you're bleeding out, oh well, it
Yeah.
was a good run. No, he came out and he fixed the problem. I mean,
Right.
so and enhanced it far beyond what he needed to. I mean, if he just wanted proof of stake and didn't care about the system state and all these other utilities and things he wants to put together, um, yeah, it'd probably be out by now. He could just whip something together and we'd be on it. But he's thinking big picture. So you got to give him credit. And you know what? He doesn't seem to succumb to the pressure either. He's got to see everybody's anxiety,
Mhm.
everybody that wants this to be launched. So he's not oblivious to it, but he wants it to be done right, and he wants it to be, some monumental achievement here, something that's epic. So long term, like he always says, delayed gratification. I guess this is one of those
Yeah.
situations in and of itself.
Oh, dude, let me tell you this though. If people didn't have their hex stake, they would have dumped. Like, I know people are so paper handed with coins and shit. They would have
Oh
dumped
yeah,
that shit a long time ago. I mean, yeah. Uh, I mean, this is one thing I do. I got to think equities for is it did make me a hodler because like
yeah,
equities is fucking boring, man. Goddamn, I didn't know how boring it. Like, I knew it was kind of like, yeah, it's like finance is always a little boring, right? And most people
sure.
think it's boring, but like coming into crypto, like crypto made finance fun because it's just so much action around. But like the thing, it did give me the little boomer sort of mentality about like dollar cost average. And if you hold this coin over a long period of time, do you know the S&P 500? If you had held it for the last 10 years and said blah blah blah, for
Yep.
that one cup of coffee, if you put it into the S&P 500 ETF fund, you would buy a Lamborghini in 45 fucking years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever the fuck it is, all that jazz, right? Like that's hodling on a fucking crazy level and shit, basically. But that's
Well, it's
pretty
the oak tree,
cool.
right? It's the acorn to
Mhm.
the oak tree mentality. Like, oh, wait 20
Right.
years, 30 years, and you'll have a nice tree. And just keep
Yeah.
watering it every day.
Yeah. It's like when's the best time to have a trade 20 years ago? I mean, or when's the second best time now? Basically,
Yeah.
that jazz. Yeah. Same thing with stakes. I mean, I mean, when I notice when somebody like I ask sometimes I have people ask me, and I'm pretty sure you get asked the same questions like, hey, I have this much hex. Like, how would you do it? You know what I mean? And I
Yep.
always tell people like start with the cheap stuff first. Like, especially if they have a lot. If they have a little bit, that's a different thing. But like when they have enough, like definitely at least put a t-shirt every year from 10 to 15 years. It's just super cheap. It's like 6,500,
Yeah.
6,500 hex. Especially if they have it, like that's only like 3,500 hex, basically 35,000 hex or 36,000.
Ladders are so important. I mean, like you were saying before, this whole everybody's saying the 15-15 is reckless. And it's irresponsible in its own way, right? Because it's
Right,
patience, but it's too much, too far out. If you have the ladders in increments to whatever suits your needs in your life, everybody's different, but maybe an
right,
annual, quarterly, whatever. I think the annual's fine. But then you always have something to look forward to without having to wait an entire, uh, eternity for it. You can just say
mhm,
like, oh, wait a minute, next year it'll get here a lot quicker. Look how fast this year is gone.
yeah,
I mean, we got stakes, 800 some days in or whatever. So it's hard to even believe that now. We can all look back to just day one and remember it like it's yesterday.
yeah,
But if you have it every year or whenever you need it, life happens.
yep,
And then you have options, and that's options are power and everything. It's when you have no options, that's when you panic, that's when you're screwed. That's when you're going to EES something way too soon or at
yeah,
all. You really shouldn't really have to EES anything. But if you have that coming out, and then you can maybe scrape that interest if you want,
yeah,
restake the rest, push it out. Now you can leapfrog it too. That's the other nice thing. Once you have that initial ladder built,
yeah,
you can always have big stakes to go out towards the end. Because if let's say you got a 10-year, next year it comes out, just make another 10-year. You'll have a stake every year.
yep,
It'll be like a conveyor belt, just keep coming through. And then you don't even, you'll get the max shares with the stake that's currently ending.
yeah,
That's going to be less than it was before, but you'll get the max you can in the system at least and keep that working for you and not have to try to strategize. People kind of think the reverse direction, are like, well, I got to get all this now and then I got to get it all done right now and get all these big T share bags. And then
yeah,
they don't think about how, well, wait a minute, if I just ladder it out correctly, I can always put a max T-share stake out there and
right.
not sacrifice time. I'll still have stuff coming in.
So that's something like I remember saying like on the Discord syndicate that there's going to be this infestation. I forgot what I think the t-shirt rate was like 13,000, maybe like 12,000 hex per t-shirt, something like that back in the day.
Mhm.
I said there was going to be a lot of what I called hollow whales. Hollow, like I'm a shark, but it's all 5-5 stakes, right?
Yeah.
So do you really have that wealth? You don't really. It's like,
No.
oh, hey, man, I have 1,000 t-shirts, or I got 150 t-shirts, but like your average is like 14, 15 years, 10 years. Like you don't really have access to any of that basically, and then it becomes like a huge thing. Like this is something I actually learned from GT. GT had a great. This is a great thing that he had. It was like he says every time he makes a 15-year stake, he would divide the time in half and do like a 7.5-year stake. So if he ever got tempted to emergency on stake of 15, he had a 7.5-year one.
Yeah.
It's smart shit like that. That's like pretty smart. I mean, there's like the way I do my ladder is I try to make it is like, Miguel, don't do something retarded.
Yeah.
Allow
Yeah.
allow there's stuff there to like be able to like get stuff up. Yeah, he put it like something like or actually no, that wasn't it. I guess it's the other one. But basically it was like 15, 7.5, and that you don't have to go that crazy, but like you could have things there in terms of like, and two, not putting all your hex in one gigantic stake. That's another one I see people doing is like,
Right.
and some people I've seen their portfolios and stuff in terms of hex, and then just you can't. There's nothing to do with it. They're already fucked up already. But the reason this is something like actually a big proponent. Like RG3 was actually a big proponent of this as well. Where like if he was going to do like, let's just say as an example, 100,000 hex or like 1,000,000 hex or something like that for a 5-5 as an example, just to make the numbers easy. You would rather split it up into 250,000 stacks because at the same time frame, because if for some reason he just really needed them, like he was in trouble, because you never, like you said, life happens really quickly, especially like when I started my hex stakes, I was like 28, right? Now I'm 30. So by the time my 5-5-5 ones come out, I'll be fucking 45 years old. 45, which is still young, but
Still way younger than me. Yeah.
Yeah, my heart though. Like I was like, Jesus Christ, 45. Like shit. I hope it look half as good as you, man. Like, man, I'm like, but
Man, I look like a turd, man. I look like a turd rolled in powdered sugar over here. I'm just kidding. Thanks, though. I appreciate
we'll
it.
get you on some TRT, bro, and we'll get you working out at the gym, bro. You'll be all
Oh, man. Yeah, I just need to get my ass back in gear, and yeah, I can get there. It's only myself to blame. I can't blame anybody else, but yeah, but thanks for that. But no, I mean, look, I did the same kind of thing when I had my spreadsheet built out. I just started doing them where I knew there was some likelihood at points in time I would need, like every year we have things that come up, or situations or events, times that we might need more money. Holidays is a good example. Birthdays, vacations that you tend to take, during the year. So you might have a little bit coming out to support those. Maybe not big bags, but maybe an annual standard. And if you want to split it up a couple times in the year, that's fine too.
Right.
But I would, for the same reason that you were just showing there with the 15 and 7.5, is that I wouldn't even have to think about touching something that's way out in the distance.
Right.
I know that I have that one coming up soon, and in the unfortunate event or unlikely event that I might need it sooner than even that's due, at least there's equity there.
Right.
Even if it's just principal, fine, but you don't have to sweat it. There's nothing worse than to sit there. You have all this potential wealth. You can't take a dime of it in the time of need, right? And then now you fudge yourself out of everything that way. So. But early in the days, I rebuilt my staking ladder. I think you did too, way back when you had Discourse, right? A lot of people were doing that. Well, when we
Which
had
one?
stakes initially, the hex stakes, well before Big Payday.
Oh,
And
right,
then some of the
yes,
discoveries we had with all the game
yeah.
theory, and we started to end stakes. We didn't nuke ourselves, but we were taking stuff out and like, okay, let me redistribute this, which makes more sense.
What a mind fuck that was.
It was. At least the gas was cheap back then.
Yeah, it was cheap, but like I did it to like two. I mean, yeah, I did some mistakes in the beginning, but like I was learning too as well. Like I was doing a lot of like fuck. I mean, I did for a while a lot of daily stakes.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like every AA, I would just take my hex and just stake it out. But I would at least ladder it out, so it's not that bad and stuff. So I would go from, all right, I got this much hex here, and I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the next day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. next.
Yeah.
I did that for a while, and then like, so I was able to fix up all the 1 year stuff. But there's some stuff out there that I just like.
I
Well,
remember you had some of those. Yeah, and it looked
yeah,
cool, right?
yeah.
Remember Hodel Dog used to have his out there too. He had that like big rainbow chart of
Oh
all
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah. Pretty. Yeah, it was so pretty. Yeah,
It
I got
looked really nice on screen. I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. But then when the gas ratcheted up, wasn't so great.
right.
But you can't foresee. Well, nobody expected it to be that bad. We
Yeah,
all thought it might change, but not to be destroying your steaks. But then with Pulse, though, like we were talking a minute ago, you can go back to doing whatever you want. It's just a big sandbox. I mean, it's
mm,
very dynamic. You can, if you want to do these little steaks. Personally, I think that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's fun maybe just to play around with the charts, but yeah, putting them at points in time. Now, again, I am a bit older, so for me, even an annual stake makes more sense, and to try to put some out towards like the actual retirement years, and
right.
then some a little sooner, and then see what I can leverage between now and then. But it forces you to be patient as well. You're like, all right, if I did take something a little sooner, then I can discipline myself to say, all right, leave the other stuff alone, and just let it keep on growing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of. I guess I'm doing roughly the same strategy as you. The way I deal with the ladder is just I just made sure to have hex come out every quarter
Yeah,
indefinitely. That's the way I did it. I did have some people tell me like, "Hey, Miguel, maybe we should do 6 months or like once a year and stake." I felt like once a year personally. I felt like I'm a little more ADD and stuff. I like kind of like do, doing something
yeah.
in a
keeps
way.
you
So
keeps you on point. Then whatever you got to do. I mean, some people have them every month. You
yeah,
know, the only
I
thing
remember
that
RG3 telling me like Miguel, like Jesus, why are you doing so much work in terms of like the because I was during the time of the daily stakes, like fuck Miguel, you would have to fucking be on the computer every fucking day or some shit.
well, yeah, it does kind of marry to that. It's nice to
Yeah,
keep it out of sight and out of mind. I don't think any of us do with Staker app. We probably watch it way
too
too
much.
much.
Yeah,
But I think is the only thing that's the caveat to that is when you spread out a lot of stakes, it's the T shares that you can't get back.
yeah,
Over that period of time, even today, to look what they used to be. Try to get 100 T shares today. I mean,
that's that's
that's
some
not
money.
easy.
Yeah, I mean, like at the cheapest, right? This is if you did some like crazy 10x sort of thing or whatever. Let's see, times 100. It would cost you. It would be like to get 100 t-shirts today at like doing all 10-year plus stakes would be 650,000 hex
Yeah,
in
yeah,
stakes. It's a lot.
it's a
Yeah,
massive bag, right? And not many, especially people just onboarding to X. They
yeah,
don't have anywhere near that type of position.
yeah.
So
I mean, it
yeah,
would,
it's
yeah.
something to think about. Yeah.
What would you what would you recommend right now for somebody like starting off like because like this is something I asked Wales as well on the last stream was like I mean obviously what would you recommend for someone like that had 10,000 hex versus somebody that had 100,000 hex basically because like it's kind of two vastly different strategies basically.
10,000 hex. I have a couple. I have people more in the lower quantity camp.
Yeah,
10,000 hex. I tell them, look, just wait for pulse because to stake that. I mean, unless you want to just, if you're confident you want to go way out 10 years, but even then with ETH, I can't guarantee gas isn't going to nuke you. I said that your best bet. I know it's good to get the T shares. Wait for pulse to stake. Accumulate as much hex between now and then, and if you get a lot more, we'll watch the gas and talk again, see if a stake makes sense.
right.
And then just stake when you get to the pulse chain, and if you want to convert to ehex, bridge it over, put it all on pulse, or if there's a game you want to play on ETH, that's fine. Maybe a long stake if you want to take a roll of dice at that. The other thing is now the 100,000 hex. That I say you could stake, but I would stake it where you have a pretty good buffer for pulse mainnet to launch, just in case. I wouldn't do any short stakes with that. You can do the math on those now and see like a 30-day stake, even a 6-month stake. With gas, not really going to make much sense. You might, at best, come out with your principal again, value wise, after you pay the gas. So at least a couple of years, 2 to 5 years.
Yeah,
If they're really heavy in, but even with that, to your point earlier, I like to tell people to break that up, maybe 50,000,
yeah,
and then 50,000 to hold for liquid for options.
Yeah, yeah,
because I'm cautious when somebody's just getting in to tell them to put all out, go all out as far, and stake it till you make it, so to speak. Just
right.
because they may have a change of heart or they may want to do something else with that once Pulse launches. Now they're locked and they're like, "Damn it, why'd you tell me that?"
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Like I am a proponent of at least 40-50% liquid, something like that, and the rest staked out. And it's all, I mean, the reason I even recommend that, it's all psychology based. Basically, I'm trying to give you as strong of a chance to like hold on for without you getting like obviously like if hex went up a lot and you sold all your liquid and you're just looking at those stakes like those looking delicious
Yeah,
delicious on steak, but still, but obviously I'm trying to put people in the position where like they won't kind of fucking rug themselves basically out of those gains basically. And of course, if you do have yearly stakes, at some point there's going to be a bear market and there's going to be like a bad year for hex, like everything else in the market, right? So I mean, the one kind of benefit of that is like let's just say you had some stakes that launched last year and during the bull market, and then now we're in a bear market. You may be able to unstake those because gas fees are down tremendously on Ethereum
right,
as well. So
right.
but you probably it still would get hit with like he's like I think after the first 2 weeks there's like a 1% kind of dissipation of your hex bags
It takes
every
a
week.
long time to bleed out. Yeah, it's 1% a
Yes.
week. Yeah,
So at some point, even if there is kind of like you would still save some of the like. So that's one of the big benefits is like during bear markets, if you're unstaking 1 year stakes, you're just unstaking them and just you can
yeah,
just keep them liquid. So let's just say like, whoo, I would have been in big trouble during the bull market to unstake this. Jesus, I got saved on this one, got saved on this one, got saved on this one, and then
yeah.
you could then build up a big bag of liquid hex while you're dollar cost averaging, and then um, possibly afford to unstake your stuff once we start entering a new bull market. Because like in a 10-year span, there should still be like even though we are getting kind of lengthening cycles, like I think it's almost been proven now, like it's still up in the air. But I'm really am a guy that's saying that we're still going to be in a bull market next year. But some people
I think
not.
we probably will be. A lot of people are calling a bear market for 2022. They were
Yeah,
calling a bear market for this year too. So
yeah. I remember they were calling for bear market in 2019. I mean,
yeah,
not 2019, 2020. I'm sorry, 2020.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it's just this thing of like like just stack, just as long as you don't go away, you pay attention, you'll find opportunities in
yeah.
crypto. Yeah, and stock up on cheap ETH while you can. I was telling people for the longest time, me and Charlie were telling people like buy Ethereum, buy Ethereum, buy Ethereum, and part of the reason for that too is just to have basically Ethereum to unstake yourself and get buy your gas while it's cheap right now. Like there's a lot of Hexicans that were like, oh, yeah, I know they were aping all their money into Ethereum, into a hex, and then correctly, and then staking it out. But I was telling some guys like, hey man, don't forget to stack a couple Ethereum on a couple wallets here and there, just so you have gas fee money, so you can unstake so it doesn't hurt your soul to like. It's still going to hurt the soul when you see the dollar amount, but at least you have the Ethereum there that you pay. Like you can sort of live with it. Like, yeah, it's $2,000, $3,000 to unstake the stake, but I paid only $400 for this Ethereum, so it's like whatever for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
40. Yeah, so it's not like completely killing you because we will if we do go into a bull market into a further bull market, we're gonna see $15,000 Ethereum, 18,000, 25,000 if we get lucky. So that's and if the gas fees are still pretty horrendous, you're talking about like a five, sometimes to unstake stuff or it's like 5-8% of an Ethereum to
oh,
unstake.
it gets up there. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's that would be $2,500.
yeah.
$2,500 unstake. That's pretty. That's pretty. That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
No, it
Just
is pretty nuts.
what the
I
heck we
mean,
talk-
the hex price though for us is another factor that
Yeah.
when somebody like is asking and they have a small bag or even the 100,000 hex, right now it's what 17 cents, 18 cents, 20 cents, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you think long term, I always preach to them at first. I was like, look, get the golden goose. Don't kill the golden goose.
Right.
That's your goose. Let it to start lay some eggs, and then take your profits. Sometimes people tend to think, well, I just want this bag to go up, and I'm going to dump it at $10. That sounds great, but then you're out, right? And talking about that passive income stream, and that's what Hex is all about. I think the
Yeah.
smart players will be the ones that they have these bags, big or small, let it just keep generating that passive income, even on the quarterly stakes or
Yeah.
yearly, whatever. Most people don't intend to sell, or at least that are in the game and understand it, don't intend to sell their principal, or
Yeah.
certainly not much of it. unless maybe there's something came up and they need it. They'll take the profit, stake it out, and let it just keep on generating.
Yeah.
So price point's another thing to think about. So gas is high, and it may seem silly to say, well, 10,000 hex and 20 cents and gas is going to destroy it. But if you're out long enough and the hex price ratchets up high, now if you got $5 hex,
Yeah.
gas may not be such a big concern. And you've accumulated all this interest by that time,
Right.
it still could be profitable. I don't know. Well, hex price, I know that's what a lot of people like to hear. What do you think for next year this time? You think we'll
We'll
hit
be
a dollar?
well over $1, yeah.
Well
But
over a dollar?
I mean, I was kind of thinking maybe 450 in terms of being like the highs because if you look at the like, I think the next time we run once we break that all time high of like 56 cents or whatever, I mean, we're basically going to $1.20 for
Yeah.
hex, and then but that'll put us at a 20 times like X multiple, and then a correction from there, and then the next one will probably it just basically I think we're gonna be doing 2X's from all time highs. I think every time for a while because it's going to be like because once we go from $1.10 to like 220 240, that's a 40,000 x's from like the bottom, you know what I mean? So it's like, so I mean, if we ever do like 100 x's from there, I mean, basically that puts us at like what, $5.60, something like that, somewhere in that range. So $5.60 or something to get that 100x multiple on the price point. And I think that's pretty good that's pretty good price points and stuff. I mean, as long as we hit like $1 or $2, I'd be pretty happy with it. I mean, that's all
I
that
think
matters.
most any of us would be, yeah. And of course, the newcomers want to see like $10, $20, and they'll get there at
Well,
some
of course,
point
I
in
mean, so
time.
do I.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Now, do you think it's going to be over $1 on both chains, or maybe
Shit.
just Pulse?
Um. hmm, eventually there will be eventually there will be a parity, or it will be like you'll get that, and like, so I think for a good time, I think bit sorry, E hex is going to be worth more than P hex for quite a while, and then we'll hit like a point where like there's going to be something called ratio trading, which is people going to be jumping back and forth like this once the ratios get good, just like people do with Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Kusama dot like that. But eventually we'll hit parity for a little bit, and there'll be a point in time when like P hex will pass over ehex for a little bit, and then at some point that'll simmer down. So I personally think there's always going to be a disparity between the phex price to the ehex price. Like we're probably looking at maybe like 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, something like
Yeah,
that. So if hex is $1, we might have 20-cent phex.
I could see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because it's gonna be cheaper. People are gonna be selling it, and two, because they got it for free. There's gonna be a lot more of a glut of supply, I think, because some people might just take a shit ton of profit on their phex and just sell it for Pulse Chain or something.
I agree, and I think ehex, the big play there will be that the payout per T-share is probably going to be much higher than on phex, just
Really?
because there's going to be so much more staking on Pulse because the gas won't be an issue. So you got tons and tons of people, thousands of people that want to get in and stake, and like we're talking about these small bags or even
Yeah.
100,000 hex, they can just go nuts on Pulse. They don't have to worry about it. But what happens when more of the community, more of the ecosystem stakes, like we saw Big Payday, just with
Right.
those short, massive stakes, when most of the supply was staked, we were down to like 1 hex per T share.
Yeah.
So I think on Pulse, we'll start, I don't know that we'll get that low, but we could maybe see 8 hex per T share on ETH, maybe 3.5 on Pulse, let's say. So there's another game theory strategy on eHex. Like we say, all right, the gas is high, but look how much more hex I get per T share. Now the whales can play this game more than you know the people
Yeah.
with smaller positions. But I think that'll also keep eHex thriving because you'll still want to accumulate more over there. It'll be worth it.
Yeah, it's just gonna be this whole time of like eHex is gonna be boring for a little bit, and then there'll be spurts of like it's such a good deal that like the move is to do something over there, and but it's gonna be like so I think like the average stake. So I should say like maybe I should do it in dollars. Maybe that may be a little bit easier. Maybe I'm trying to explain this. So maybe the average hex stake in dollar wise on eHex is probably going to be somewhere in the $25,000 to $50,000 range, where I think the average hex stake in on phex. God damn these fucking names. Phex phex might be $1,000, $500.
Yeah.
So much smaller. So I think you might have a point with that in terms of like it's just because it's not going to be economically viable if it's not big enough. So it's like I'd be telling people like, hey, you can do small stakes over there on PHEX, but once you get enough profits and you want to do a EHEX stake, I would highly recommend you get in there with size or something like that, just to make sure that or at least you're far enough ahead. Because like within 5 years, there should be enough upgrading where like the Ethereum unstaking gas fees on Ethereum within at least, I mean, 5 years is a long time, but you would think in 5 years they're going to fix something on Ethereum. So I think any stake older than 5 years should be fine on gas, on staking, as long as it's not really like tiny, as long as it's kind of like moderate sized, you should be fine. But on PHEX, you can always unstake anything basically. I mean, outside of like I'm doing 100 PHEX stake. Like, come on, bro. Like, like small little shit like that. So I mean, obviously, even with PHEX, if you can afford to do like 10,000 PHEX, I would still keep it above 10,000 hex stakes and stuff. Just for you never know the future. You never know, right? Like we have so much stuff going on PHEX. That in the PHEX price, I mean, in the hex and pulse, I mean, the price of pulse keeps going up so much that it's possible that like some micro stakes become unprofitable. But as long as you just keep it above 1,000 PHEX, which I think will be very affordable, everyone's gonna be able to do it, so it doesn't matter. So this whole thing of like I don't think at no point will we have a gas problem on Pulse chain, at least for fucking a long time, basically.
Many years.
Yeah. I mean, because we have so much coins, we got trillions of. I think like at the minimum we got like 2.6 trillion coins or something like that.
Something like that, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
But Pulse is the other anomaly here, and this is the big picture one, is the price on that. That's going to drive a lot of people in and out of Hex as well, right? Because I know a lot of people are looking to chase Pulse. That's another thing that's the good question. There's so much chatter, and Pulse Chain talks about it a lot too on the Telegram group. Are people going to be trying to ape into Hex on Pulse, or are they going to be trying to dump their Hex and ape into Pulse more? I don't know. I mean,
I think it has something to do with like if the miss. So I think the average whale would probably be accumulating more PHEX than over Pulse because they'll have Pulse. Because any whale and anyone who had economic mass during the sacrifice phase already probably has a lot of Pulse already, relatively. Somewhere in that.
What would you consider a lot of Pulse, by the way? Because there is such a massive supply.
I don't know. I would say a bill. Maybe I don't know, not a billion, but like 10 billion something plus
10
bags,
billion,
10 billion, something like that. Like that seems about right. Like I think you're like I think a dolphin will probably be like a billion. I'm kind of talking out of my ass here a little bit, so just because I don't want to speculate. Like I haven't speculated on price or nothing on Pulse Chain because I don't have all the info. I see people talking all the time like what they think the supply is going to be, but until I actually see what it really is, then I'll be able to give like I'm pretty good at figuring out prices and points and shit and like psychological levels. But I don't want to talk out of my ass when like if I don't really like everyone's saying like imagine everyone right now is saying like there's going to be 3 trillion Pulse Chain tokens. It's confirmed, and then they're doing all these hypotenuses and they're drawing all this crazy shit on the boards and they're doing all this crazy stuff and then like Richard says like no, there's actually 8.7 or there's only a trillion as an example, whatever.
Right.
So until that happens, I'm not really saying that, but because I know it's trillions, probably 10 billion is probably going to be the number, the psychological number. Like you have 10 billion, you hit some level, or like you hit a billion and you're like, well, wow, you're kind
of out. Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment. I think what's going to be interesting though with Pulse, and I'm waiting to see obviously, is I don't think there's going to be as much for sale as people are thinking because there's trillions of coins. Everybody's like, oh, there'll just be plenty. We'll just buy it all for nothing. I don't think there's going to be as much on the market because people are going to be, delegating it. They're going to be trading it for other things. I'm not sure that they'll, and I don't know what the liquidity pool will be either. So there may not be as much for sale.
For which one?
Pulse.
Oh, Pulse. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, because it's going to be a coin where you have to like if you're going to stay a whale, you have to hold a lot of it, and you also have to have the strength of not to sell it too. So it's very. I mean, I don't really expect myself to even sell any of my Pulse Chain tokens. That's for
I don't
sure.
plan to either. Yeah.
Yeah. So like my supply ain't going to hit the market. That's for sure. So I think you may be right. It's almost like you probably the only time to ever accumulate a shit ton is during a huge dip because there's extra liquidity or something like that. But or maybe you're just like it's hard to tell, but I think you might be right. But like there is always like people like dumping and stuff and everything at these points. So it could be sort of a thing where like just to go back to the psychological levels, like it could let's just say Hex is at $1, right? You might have you might have p hex at 10 cents or something as an example, which would be really cool. Or it starts at 2 cents and then it goes up to 10 cents, and then from there you have p hex, or you have pulse chain at like, I don't know, tenth of a penny or something like that, or
Mhm.
or 1% of a penny as an example for the price of the token. And it could be sort of a thing where like they could be. I think what I've been speculating is that they would be ratio playing, or like there's going to, depending on the pairs and stuff, it's one of them is going to be sort of the glass ceiling in a way, because people are going to have certain ratios, like maybe like the price of pulse chain should always be roughly about a 1/100th of the price of hex, or like a thousandth, I'm sorry, of the price of hex or something. And then the price of p hex, or like maybe people say like 100th of the p hex price. And they're like, wow, the p hex price has increased and stuff, so then the money will flow back into pulse chain token and increase the pulse chain token price. And that's kind of what I think is going to end up happening, not in the beginning, but over like the short medium term, that range, like after like 3 4 5 months, there's going to be sort of ranges where like oh shit, p hex just went up like 3x in price. Oh my god, right now, dude, pulse chain's so cheap right now relatively, like. And then this is like, well, the YouTube stuff's going to happen and people talking about it, and I'll talk about it too. And then from there, like, pulse chain will probably increase in price as well. And then there's gonna be times when pulse chain's going up crazy, and then like, dude, p hex is so cheap. If you looked at the charts, if you look at the charts and stuff historically, when pulse chain moves, p hex, like YouTubers will, YouTube, everyone's gonna make,
Oh, they
their
will. Yeah.
gonna say their fucking historicals and all this crap and shit, and then but it's just the game basically. And then I'm here for it basically, but there's going to be a lot of money made if you can figure out ratios, basically, if you can sort of figure out
I think that is the game with Pulse too, because you're right. You don't have the time component with locking like you do with Hex, so they're going to have some wild swings. You may have days where, yeah, 10 billion Pulse trade, and then another day where maybe it's 10 million. So it could be just big whales wash out here and there. There's price points everybody has in mind where I'm sure they're going to sell a big position. A lot of people
right.
say a penny. If you got 10 billion, you maybe don't even have to wait for that. Some
Yeah.
people might want to wait for a dollar pulse or whatever. You know,
Oh my god.
which could be there because the OA games again. Well, if you think about, like, I said the same thing about Hex when it came out. I'm like, well, there's this massive supply, and I still had that market cap metric in my head as a limiting factor. Now, kind of lesson learned from that. Pulse has got a similar structure with the OA owning a huge portion of that supply. Let's assume
Yes.
that's idle, or maybe it's just used for,
Delegating.
delegated,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that, and it's not on the market. Then that's a much smaller percentage of marketable trading hex or
Mhm.
pulse. And then it depends what everybody does with that. How many people want to delegate?
Right.
How many people want to hold?
I mean,
Or just provide liquidity. Plus,
it's
people might go dump a lot of pulse for, let's say, Chainlink, like to the earlier Chainlink discussion. You never know.
that's a reason where I think like people are going to lose a lot of their wealth actually in that whole transition. Some people are like, there's always winners, right? There's always winners, like 80/20 rule, right? Like,
Hmm.
let's just say 20% are going to make a ton of extra pulse chain token, or just get wealthier overall. The top 20 going to make all this. Is the next 20% are probably going to break even. I mean, a little profit, and then the bottom 60 just get filleted like
Yeah.
a fish. Yeah, and it's going to be a giant wealth transfer of the bottom 60 to the top 40, basically, in terms of what I think is going to happen with that. And then some guys may probably think they have this, like that. Which I know what's going to happen already. It's like guys who have small stacks are going to be like, "Fuck it, I'm going to roll the dice on this because I want to get myself to like whatever the dolphin status or the squid, whatever things. Once we have everything kind of formalized of what bags are, because if the OA supply, let's just say the OA does control 60, 70, 80% of the supply, there's really only going to be 20% circulating.
Yeah.
Of like, so if I saw someone say Richard said 130 trillion. I don't think so, but if he did, if it was, let's just say it was 100 trillion coins, I don't think so. But if it was, then a big bag would basically be a trillion coins, because that's 1% of the supply basically. So, or half a trillion or something like that. So, but I don't think it's that much. But that's a lot of coins. 100 trillion coins. That's a shit ton.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, still, it all depends on what what the market availability is and where the price goes. I mean, Hex with 600 billion or whatever that we have. I mean, a lot of people said we couldn't get to the price points we're even at today.
Yeah.
Some people said we couldn't get to a penny. Remember those discussions back
Oh
on?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're like, you're never going to get to a penny. That's crazy. It's too high of a market cap and all this. And now,
Yeah.
I think if you factor that out, you say, okay, forget about what the market cap is. Even Richard has said it can become nonsensical, like it's worth
Mhm.
more than all of the assets in the world combined. But if you can't do anything with that valuation anyway, then it's just a huge number that sits there.
Right.
And you have all of this activity going on, with the trading pools. So that'll be interesting to see if Pulse has a similar pathology as Hex did. If it follows that same kind of, um, trading valuation, with a small liquidity pool too. Again, that was kind of a lesson learned with Hex. That maybe you already knew this, but when there was a small liquidity pool, there was a lot of concerns around. Well, wait a minute, there's all this Hex, there's value, but there's not nearly enough liquidity.
Right.
But then Richard pointed out, well, first of all, you don't have to dump everything at once. Second of all, if you want price pumpage, smaller pools are great for that. Which we've seen
Right.
again with Hex. If we had $100 million in liquidity or a billion, imagine what it would take just to get us to back to 20 cents.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I think the hex to okay, wait, let me reiterate this a little bit. That's why I think the hex to p hex and the hex to pulse chain and the p hex, whatever those three main pools basically, or I think the APYs on those are going to be pretty relatively small because like here's the problem that I'm seeing with like I see with a lot of projects, unless you're just in a really hot sector or you have an unbelievable amount of like lockup features for your token, like an Alluvium, like there's 10 million tokens, there's 600,000 tokens out in supply, but because so many people are staking them out and locking them up for a year, there's realistically only like 33% liquid. So there's so little tokens, and the game keeps getting more and more people that the price keeps going up. Even though it's a really I would fix this if I was them, but like basically they have 373 million dollars in the liquidity pool. That's retarded.
Wow.
But because there's no fucking supply and every new person comes in, they buy one or two Alluvium, the price keeps going up. So hey, that they just got lucky. I don't think they just got lucky, but basically because there's so much money in there too. Like even like it would have to take like one of the founders to crash the price like 80%, which is not happening. So that they just got lucky on that. But I've seen coins fuck that up, but they don't have the tokenomics and the lockups done right, where like the coin doesn't move. Hashtag all the fucking hex clones.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, yeah. Exactly. I've seen them too. Yeah, they're all just in. And even when Richard called that, they're all going to die off, and they do, and all for the same reasons. Well,
Right.
they've all for the same problems that he pointed out early in the
So they are
beginning.
saying it's 130. God damn, that's a lot. Okay, so
134 trillion. Okay.
yeah, so basically having basically if you have a really good bag, you have 100 billion,
Okay.
basically 100 billion. Yeah, that'd be the number, give or take. Yeah,
Well, that's still small compared to the Shiba supply, right? What's
yeah,
Shiba, 1 quintillion or something like that?
1,000 trillions.
Something like that. Yeah, some crazy amount. And
Yeah.
and even look where that price has run to. So and Pulse has so much more appeal and utility, and you can build on it. So yeah,
So they just, I think, I mean, Richard knows this already. I don't know how to say this, but like Richard's probably incentivizing everything when you can earn, you can earn a safe yield providing liquidity, but like not to go too bananas with it. So you end up having like this gigantic amount of liquidity, which could end up hurting the pull. Because if it's incentivizing correctly, because there's all this yield farming now, right? If you put if for some reason some platform creates a shit ton of yield farming for P, and they do like they put something like hex to p hex or hex to pulse chain, and there's like there's like 100-200% APY on it and stuff, everyone's money pools there, and then what happens is then the price has trouble going up, or like it dulls the price pumping, but it will make it more stable at least a little bit.
well that is true. Yeah, you won't
Yeah,
have the
but that
massive
stops the
slippage like you
exponential.
do.
Like it stops the Hulk dicks
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit, because it takes then it'll take a lot of money to pump the price basically on that.
I think that will happen to Hex at some point too. And Richard's kind of hinted a lot on the liquidity pool many times in his live streams with other people. about when's the best time to buy Amazon and these others when nobody wanted it, there was no liquidity, nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Hex is really in that position right now where, let's say Hex had a $300 million liquidity pool.
Right.
And then we would have that more stable price, but then people looking to get another 10, 100x. Yeah, it's going to be a longer wait. It's going to be tougher to pump it there. Now maybe Elon Musk buys in or somebody and
Yeah.
runs it up from there. But even look at him. He bought into Bitcoin. Graham, Stephen, all these guys barely moved the price.
Yeah.
And look at the money they dumped into that. So now it might be a prime time to get into Hex still. I mean, maybe you didn't get in early, whatever. You're getting in today. Little slippage up, no big deal. Most people coming in aren't going to move the price anyway, even with the smaller pool.
No. I mean, you can buy 10 Ethereum one shot, not even move the price that much or
Yeah,
anything.
you won't even see it. So, yeah.
Unless the slippage says 1% or 0.84 or something like that, and yeah, you lose a little bit, but it's who cares? It's really nothing crazy. You're not really losing on that much X anyway. I know there's some people out here that are like, I mean, they literally masturbate at night thinking about like, oh, when my limit orders are hit, oh, I can't wait.
Oh yeah,
No slippage. Oh yeah, I got all my Hex at this price. Yeah, like they rub one out and shit all the time. Shit, like I've done limit orders and they haven't hit, and I've been pissed the fuck off so many times. Like I use them, but like I don't like them, to tell you the truth. I think
I don't like them. Not in crypto. In stocks, a little bit, but more for bottom fishing than anything. You get a flash crash down, you might get a good deal.
Right.
But I hate to have dead capital at the same time. Limit orders, I get frustrated because it can sit there for weeks or months
Right.
and not get filled. And in the meantime, the price is running up on you. Or you could have been doing something with it, like earning interest
Yeah.
and getting some yield.
Could you? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you try to earn yield on your stables and stuff, or what do you do? You just hold state, or like when you go into when you take profits, you just hold it in Ethereum, or you just hold it into USDC or something like that.
Mostly just like a USDC. I don't even really put a lot in the stables. I like to have it working. If I was to go into a stable, it's usually I'm cashing something out,
Got it.
to move off chain. So if it's going to be moved at all, anything I have in there, I'd like to have the money working.
Got it.
So I'll keep it all in a yield generating token, like Hex, for example,
Yeah.
will be where I put everything for that. Yeah, it's nice to watch price pumps if you're holding something that's just a wild card. But if
Right.
it doesn't generate anything in the meantime, I mean, look at Unibright's a good example. It's run up, but I mean, it runs, it goes sideways, it pulls back. You don't earn anything though
Yeah.
on it. You're just hoping that, okay, maybe this baseline protocol, everything's going to take off and Rocket Pool. Rocket
Oh,
Pool's another
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Rocket Pool's done well, right? But again, it just kind of it'll run and go sideways. It's not really yield generating. I prefer something that was giving me that consistent cash flow, and then the price does what it does. It fluctuates. It's fine. But no, I don't like to keep a lot of like stable. I've never done anything with what was the MakerDAO. I
Mm.
looked into like maybe getting some DAI MakerDAO way back when you could lock it up and earn some yield. But I didn't like the system as much, and I didn't like some of the stuff around it. I didn't feel comfortable with, and it was
Right.
expensive because you got to do multiple transactions going in and out. You
Yep.
know, to lock all that crap. So it's like, man, unless you've got a huge position in this,
Right.
you're not gonna really make it worth your while. I mean, Alchemist was kind of the same way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like Alchemist, the self-paying loans. I think like all that we're just building. It just built a lot of infrastructure. They just need to make it cheaper, basically. But like a lot of people are actually doing a lot of that kind of yield farming stuff. If they want to stick to the ETH ecosystem, they're sticking to Arbitrum right now. Arbitrum and Optimism are starting to get yield farms. I mean, you can do curve stuff pretty cheap on. It's not cheap. Like it's not like 20 cents, 5 cents, but it's like $1 to $5, which isn't terrible. Basically, like that's
No, yeah,
that's pretty affordable. Me and personally, I yield farm quite a lot on the Phantom ecosystem, just because the APYs are pretty high. Things typically like I can get it to things and when they're pretty stable. Like the average APY on like a Phantom place, so you can get like 50% APR. That's baseline starting.
Phantoms on ETH or what is that?
Um, Yeah, you can buy as an RC. You can buy Phantom as an RC20 token, and then you can bridge it over to the Phantom ecosystem. And there's ways to earn 50 to like 1% a
Oh, okay.
day,
That's interesting.
which is little. Yeah, there's some. I'm in some degenerate farms, but no, like
No, I mess around. I got a little, like tiny bit of Climadow on Polygon. I don't know
yeah,
if it's gonna turn into anything, but that was from the Alchemist stuff, and they
yeah,
had a
yeah.
little bit of an airdrop with that. But yeah, I don't know if my big position obviously is in Hex, but yield farming, I don't mess with other contracts, even in the Hex wallet either, because
Yeah,
some contracts can be you know nefarious, right? I think people get when they run into a lot of these meme coin type of yield farms.
absolutely,
That's where
man.
I always hear people getting wiped out,
Yeah,
either rug pulled or their wallets wiped or both. Yeah. So
yeah. You have to have separate wallets with everything, separate private keys, separate like cold storage devices. Like you've gotta put like layers of like between everything basically like that. And then to do any of that sort of stuff. And like typically, like I don't like mixing like wallets with like this wallet's for this ecosystem and that's it. Stuff like that. You like
yeah,
like like I would never recommend someone like I'd be like I've got all my hex stakes and I'm doing all this yield farming on the hex stake wallet. Like why would you fucking do that?
yeah, no,
That's that's pretty. You know what I mean? Like yeah.
yeah. I tried the Derace too in the beginning, just to mess with that one a little bit. The horse racing game.
Oh yeah 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 yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah
I
yeah.
didn't get a horse though. I
Gotcha.
put in a little bit for the yield farming, but didn't get a horse. I don't know how that one's doing. It's okay, I guess, but I think they're having some trouble with the code or some of
Right.
the racing stuff. But
Yeah.
it looked like a cool concept. I mean, I could see the blockchain, you know, again being leveraged to gaming for some real world type of activities like that. So be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff. Like right now, like a lot of some of the best yields in the world right now are in GameFi's. So like Alluvium, and then a couple of these other starting products and stuff like that. There's a couple coins I'm not just going to say just because they're still really risky. So I'm just not going to say that. But like there's games where you can earn some crazy yield. Like the average is like 200% APY, 400% APY, something like that, providing
Uh,
liquidity. And some of the games look like they might make it. But you obviously like if you're going to get into things like that, just make sure the team's not anonymous. That's the number one rule. Make sure like they're like they got their
that's the
picture.
problem with Climadow. Yeah, that
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
all
just make sure
anonymous.
like
Yeah,
they're actually like they're proud enough to show their fucking faces. Like it should be a
yeah.
pretty no brainer about that sort of stuff. Like I mean I kind of like I talked about Gala in my last course and stuff, and Gala was about 1 cent to 4 cents when we said in the course. Today it hit not today but like a week ago it hit an all time high of 75 cents. So it's done roughly of 75 to like a 42x
Oh, okay.
since September. So people are like, yay, super happy about that one. But
I'll bet.
yeah, pretty happy about that one. And then I recommended two of them. So I recommended Gala back in the day and Alluvium. And I was more heavily hinting towards Alluvium more than Gala, right? But but here's the whole Unibias thing, right? Well, Alluvium was $480, $500 per coin, where Gala was 4 cents. Which one do you think more people went into?
I'll go for the 4 cents all day long. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, people jumped into that. Some jumped into like everyone made money on the LB because we grew. Like I was starting to notice like a trend of like, oh, I think games are about to get hot, basically. So I was like, yeah, let's give some recommendations on which game tokens are going to get really cool. Um,
Now, Illuvium's a game or a gaming platform?
it's more like it's essentially like you own the game studio. So every game that they launch, all the revenue that's generated gets the revenues get bought into Ethereum, and then they use Ethereum to buy the token, and it gets redistributed to you back in the staking pool,
Oh,
basically.
okay.
So there's revenue distributions basically, but it's pretty interesting. They're going to have their land sale January 2nd or 3rd next year, and so which is pretty much in a month and some change, and that's going to be a pretty big event. I'm buying quite a lot of land when that
Oh, so
happens.
they're gonna actually have like a virtual world or something
Yep.
that you buy in? Okay.
Yep.
Like
It's
Decentraland.
like the central end, yeah. Except it's for like imagine like you have it's like sort of a Pokemon battler basically. You're basically catching and buying Pokemon game, but it's instead of like where Axes is more of a mobile game where it has these little like furry little like 2D things. Like this is a full 3D world with like the Unreal Engine, so it's like super high level graphics and stuff. So we'll see what happens. You know, it could totally take a shit and not work. So it's risk. You know, if you risk it, you get the biscuit. You know, but
I
think
watch a
it's
lot of Alex Becker videos, and he mentions a lot of these coins you're talking about.
oh Alex
With
Becker,
the, yeah,
Alex Becker,
he's a funny guy to listen to, but
yeah.
I've heard of these names, I just haven't looked into them. But a
Yeah.
lot of the ones you're mentioning.
So we had a kid. Well, I shouldn't call him a kid. He's a good, you know. Shout out to Elijah, the land baron. There's this guy called Elijah from our course and stuff. He's like some guy. He was a kid at the time and stuff when he was living out in like the middle of like fucking I don't know where in the middle, you know, middle America in the cold and shit. And he just was like he was just always interested in terms of like his crypto experience. He wanted to get into games, so he bought a ton of like gaming tokens and like land and shit. And like recently, like man, the guy is balling out of control right now.
Yeah.
He is like he was already doing pretty well for himself. He became like I don't want to dox him too bad, but he was already doing very well for himself now. And to see him just go from like you know doing not so well to like now he's like helping his entire family out and stuff like that, and like
Wow.
beautiful, man. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for him and anybody else that
That's
did
a
that.
great story. Yeah.
Yeah. Just yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like people are going to get rich off this, and it's going to be stories of like when some of these kids play these games, and like in you know, I know Richard's not, he is right about this thing. Like people throw their whole lives away playing video games. Like I threw like 2 years of my whole life playing World of Warcraft, and like
Oh, me too. I think I did
yeah,
probably. Yeah.
you played
Total
World of Warcraft?
Annihilation. I spent I played WoW longer than 2 years.
Really?
It
Okay.
probably
Okay.
almost cost me a divorce way back when.
Well, did you play the original vanilla, or did you play like Wrath, or what?
Oh, I played when it first came out, the original.
Got you. Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
OG.
there wasn't even the expansion pack out.
Yeah.
What was it? The first one? I can't remember the name of it.
I
Something
think it was vanilla
Azeroth.
WoW.
Huh?
The first expansion, I think it was like Burning Crusade.
Burning Crusade. Yeah, yeah. And then I stopped playing shortly after that. When the 40-man, I used to do the 40-man raids, the Molten Core and all that, and
Naxxramas and shit. Or what?
Onyxia and all that. Yeah, you had
Mhm.
to get attuned, and it was a whole job. I mean, you had to network with. We had to coordinate. You had like these raid leaders and these
Yep.
guilds, and everybody had to go out. It took an hour just for everybody to get buffed at the entrance to say Molten Core, and then everybody had their assignments. And if you're a tank or a mage or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, and then I mean, the fastest you could even run that was I think 4.5 hours.
I did Molten Core, but when they nerfed it and made it a 25, because they revamped
Oh
it and
yeah,
released it again as a 25-man raid. What I'm looking at this shit like, what? Oh my god, these things used to be gigantic. Like holy shit. Like because when I was in World of Warcraft, I got into the game like basically at the back half of like Burning Crusade, and
yeah.
I was too noobish, so I just leveled up to like level 65 or 7 or 65 or 60. I'm sorry, and then waited for the expansion to come out, and then I leveled up again. So it's like as soon as I hit the top level, 2 weeks later, then Wrath of the Lich King came out, and then I played Wrath of the Lich King for the entire expansion basically, and then became like the #1 rated guild. Like I was like basically the top of the guild. Like I was like top in the world in terms of like protection paladins.
Nice.
I was a prop pally and stuff, but I just got lucky because paladins sucked ass unless you were like, I mean, they all sucked ass. Actually, every single fucking class, or even in vanilla WoW, like a paladin pretty much sucked ass. Even
Yeah.
the healer version of it, but like they buffed them hella crazy in Wrath of the Lich King because it was all undead. So like I was pretty much at one point one of the top prop tallies in the world, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
We could have played with was it Akeem in Israel? You ever see his videos?
No,
The
I don't.
world's greatest paladin. They might still be on
It's
YouTube.
been a minute and stuff because I was watching a lot of like Tank Spot and stuff back in the day. Like Hobbs is also doing a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, Retribution Pallies are insane and stuff. But yeah, I actually did a lot of arena work too. Like me and my buddy Ambitions, we used to do a lot of like 2v2 like PvP and stuff. Like it would be I'd be a Ret Paladin and he'd be what was it like? I forget the type of like rogue he was, but like we did pretty well and stuff in arena. Pretty weird team and stuff. For
No, it
some
was.
like nerds, fucking asshole.
I know, right? Nerds. Oh, well, I think it was Burning Crusade is where they come out with the Death Knight, and that kind of
Yeah,
neutralized everything that was like overpowered and all this kind of crap. But
yeah,
in the earlier days, yeah, but the big raids, the 20 and 40 man big instances where it took like all afternoon to
yeah.
run it. They were fun, but it was just too many people. Oh, talking about the arguing and the fighting,
Oh yeah.
and if you were the one that wiped the raid, because they were so tightly balanced. I mean, one guy does a wrong move, and then just the mob will kill everybody. So
Right. Oh,
yeah,
I think Josh was right. It was Wrath of the Lich King with the Death Knight. Yeah, because they
was
had
that
this one move
Wrath
where
Lich King?
they
Okay,
could grab somebody and pull them towards you. Like you can pull them towards you and stuff, which is pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, they basically added that character for people like for to allow like a new player just to like instantly get to level
yeah. They
65.
wanted to get them kind of motivated. Like, okay, you can do something and win here. But the PvP servers were the best
Yeah.
to run through. Or if you're just and it was a I don't know. It was a lot more intense because like if you were on a quest.
Oh, you get
Especially if you
ganked.
were soloing. Oh, you get jumped. You're guaranteed. You're gonna get. And if you're running with a guild, even then get intercepted by another guild, or you just jump on another camp somewhere, and then
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mobs start chasing everybody around too. It was good stuff. Was it Zur Ren or the one with the big trolls up top? How is this going to
So,
make me rich? Airdrops, man.
so
World of
okay.
Warcraft airdrop.
So how is this going to be rich? Well, if these two guys up here wasted tons of their years of their lives playing like World of Warcraft, it probably means that like, and we're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to crypto, so it's pretty safe to assume that like a lot of other people are going to jump into that sort of space, basically. Like
Yep.
especially if oh my god, if World of Warcraft. If I could have made money playing World of Warcraft, oh my, I'd still be probably play. I'd probably still be like because I was getting like at the tail end there when like at the end of Wrath of Lich King and stuff, I was getting offers to join guilds all the time across servers and stuff. Like some Korean guilds were trying to get at me too,
Yeah.
and my mom just wouldn't let me do it because like at the time, how old was I? I was probably barely 18, like maybe 17 or something. Like when did I start playing? So yeah, basically, yeah. So around that time and stuff, and then my mom just wouldn't like. I think I was just finishing high school and stuff, so I was like had 6 months left of high school, and they were like offering me like they were offering me like come join over here, we'll pay you some money and stuff to like join this guild or something like that, and but the time they were rating was basically around like the middle of my school day, so
Yeah.
like my mom was just like fuck no, basically,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, just shit like
No
that. And
parents gonna be
I was
on
so
board with
mad.
that.
I was
But
so
how
mad.
to make you rich is like play to earn.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, I think the way we're going with a lot of this crypto, you will. Back in the days of WoW, you could make money, but you had to circumvent the gaming system. People selling
right.
gold. Remember all the China gold farmers, and
Hmm.
people would actually run your character for you. You could pay a fee,
Yep.
like if you wanted to level up and you didn't want to spend all the time grinding through.
It's fucking crazy and stuff. But like if it did imagine if the gold was a coin where you could have it actually did have some monetary value. Oh
Yeah,
my god, man! Like we could have had. I mean, like it would have been crazy because I was gold capped all the time on my character, like all the time.
yeah,
Like I was very well, in crypto. I mean, not in crypto. I mean, but in like in World of Warcraft, I was very wealthy in World of Warcraft. Like because I was like an auction house whore.
Oh, okay.
So I had all the little like upgrades you used to get on curse.com or whatever the hell the name was of the website where like you get all these plugins. So every day I'd wake up in the morning before I go to school and like scan the auction house and then leave my character there and go to school. And then of course you get logged out. And then I'd come back from high school like run. I'd be like running to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
computer to try to check up on the. And then I would download the entire auction house basis for that day, and then basically have projections of where price would go up and down, basically. And then I would be like, oh, dude, I like the herbs are really cheap for all the starting herbs because it looks like a lot of people are starting to level up herbology. So I would just buy out like everything and just
That's
I would
that's
ratchet the prices up and then let them like inflate me down. But then it doesn't matter because I'd have so much herbs that I could just like as I set the prices high, they're buying it up, and then I just keep lowering my prices until it gets back to baseline. But I would arbitrage and get 25% profit on all my gold. Basically, yeah, flipping mats, baby. Yes, sir.
imagine the WoW auction house like an Iron
Yeah,
Forge or something with real crypto.
yeah,
Like you were saying, and people would still be buying all that,
yeah,
and if you could get the transactions quick and cheap,
yeah.
oh yeah,
We're chins, man. I mean, like My God, but that's what's going to happen is when you add that money aspect on top of that. I mean, this is gonna. Whew, I mean, like basically the reason I quit is because I finished the whole Wrath of the Lich. I mean, basically there was just a huge amount of politics too. Like imagine like I was playing a game with a bunch of adults. Basically, like everyone in my guild was basically in their mid-30s, fucking losers. Basically,
Yeah.
I mean they're like college grads with shitty degrees and stuff and everything like that. Like just mad at life, basically. What fucking wearing fedoras and fat.
Yep. Yep.
And and I'm just some fucking 17-year-old, 19-year-old kid, like playing games with them, and then like they're just like taking out their aggression on me until the point like I just got sick. Like I just got sick and tired of it because like I basically got to the position where like I was leading part of the guild, and uh, they were just mad. They're taking orders from a fucking 18-year-old kid. Pretty much, like they're taking losses in real life, and then they go home to have fun and work from away from work, and I'm bossing them around as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid. LOL.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
people get that is like their whole existence is in game.
Right.
I got away from a lot of it because of the drama too. It got out of
Yeah.
control with the people taking it way too seriously. It's like
Yeah.
if the raid wipes, their life is over. I'm like
Right.
their whole day is shot. Like, come on, man, it's just a game. But
Yeah.
yeah, they got to
It's
get
just
that epic drop,
yeah.
or they ninja the item.
Oh,
Somebody
oh my
ninjas.
God, dude! I
Remember the
forgot.
dragon
Oh
kill
my God.
points? If you had to use those to roll, did you have to
Yeah.
earn
Wait.
dragon kill points?
Yeah, you did Dragon Kill. That was what my guilds used. Yeah, the
Oh
dragon. Yeah.
yeah, we use
Yeah.
those because that way you couldn't just show up to one raid a week and roll. You had to earn dragon kill points to even roll on an item. People in the
That
chat are
is.
like, "What the hell's with these guys talking about dragon kill points?"
Yeah, but that's like basically what that was is like there's points for attendance and completion of
Hmm.
raids and stuff like that, and then that's basically all it was. It basically made sure that if you would get points for every person, every boss you killed, and if you showed up, basically. And I
Yeah,
had a perfect attendance, so there's people just that was the reason why people were mad with me because like I was the tank as well, and I never ever missed the raid ever, like because the raid couldn't happen basically because I was the number one tank on the server basically. So I never missed a raid, and then basically I could buy anything I wanted. Anytime anything dropped, it's like they were like my DMs were like I had 15 DMs like hey my name in the back of the day was Sunbay, so like hey yo son, you gonna bid on that? You gonna bid on that? You gonna bid on that? I was like
yeah,
nah bro, like I don't no I'd go for it bro, and then people would bid on it and stuff, and yeah, I mean, but it had to end at some point because one day someone showed me that you can put /played and it tell you how many hours you played in your character. And I had a year and a half on one character, and I was like, oh my God.
no, you consume a lot of time. Yeah, a lot of time. All
Yeah.
anybody has to do to understand WoW is Google Anixia wipe, the Anixia raid wipe that was narrated and the guy did the cartoons on it. You ever seen
Yep.
that? Yeah, that tells you
Or
all you need to know about WoW raids.
or like Leroy
Leroy
Jenkins.
Jenkins. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was Molten Core too, like where they're in. Yeah. Like
I don't know if that's Molten Core or not, but
or was
maybe.
that
Yeah.
or was that
No,
it's either Molten Core or Kazaran or Kazaran or the haunted house one. I forgot the name of it.
no, it's the house that they're in. Yeah, Molten
Yeah,
Core didn't have any rooms like that I can recall.
oh, okay. So maybe it wasn't that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, it's fucking great. But regardless, it just end the story so we can get off of this topic,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So what happened was like the minute the minute Breathless King ended, Burning Crusade was happening, and I mean not that Cataclysm, the next
Cataclysm. Yeah.
yeah Cataclysm. I played it for a couple days, and then everyone in my guild is like, "Hey Miguel, you sure you want to be the tank? You sure you want?" Basically, they're trying to get me out of position, and then. I was like 18 and some change years old already at that time. And then I was like, one day I just fucking like freaked out and I was like, yo, fuck this. I'm gonna go get a girlfriend, man. What the fuck am I?
There you go.
Literally, I yelled in the guild chat. I was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm done. Like I quit. I left the guild. And then just fucking walked my ass off. Didn't play again.
Yeah.
just cold turkey like that. Cause I was just like I was seeing my buddies like going out to the clubs and shit and like having fun and stuff. And then I was just like, one day I was like, wait, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. Go get a real life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand that. I
Mhm.
came rushing home the way and I'll close out the story of mine with this.
Mhm.
I was rushing home to you know get the family and all coming home from work. Got to be at the entrance. I think it was a Molten Core run. and waiting there for an hour. I'm trying to, grab my dinner, eat it at the computer, so I can follow in with,
Yeah.
get everything ready to go, run through, and then all this drama went on through the raid, and like 4 hours later, I'm going to bed all stressed out. I said, you know what? Enough of this shit. I said, same thing. Just go out and get a life. I said, this is too
Yep.
much stress, too much. It became a job in and of itself. I said, this is too much. It's not fun anymore.
No, it became a job. At least if it was like crypto with this much stress, is you're making a fuck ton of money with like there's a
That'd be
different
different.
reward.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
different, and that's why like we're willing to take, but like it's insanity. But like I mean, that's the sort of that's how powerful these games are, and like so I know for a fact that like you have a game that with that much addiction and mixed in with like with actual real world money, like oh my god, like with
Oh,
cryptocurrency.
it's gonna be a whole new world with that. It's gonna be epic with that for sure.
So that's our little thing about games. So we should probably go back to Hex probably.
Yeah, everybody's like, this is supposed to be about crypto and X, right? So
Shit. Uh, but yeah, man. I mean, is there anything else we should talk about in Hex? I mean, I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, other than like we staking strategies, like we pulse chain the waffle swap or pulse chain swap.
I think maybe just to remind everybody that, we're all in the same boat and it sucks. And I'm not one of the people who blow smoke of everyone's ass saying the dips are always great. No, they suck the big hairy meatball at times. They're great if you have some capital to throw in. But I think a lot of us have already fired the powder that's in the keg and we're just trying to accumulate more. But I look at the big picture and holding strong. I think that, you know, um, there's tons of headroom in this, but it just may take a little time. So don't fudge yourself out. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. It's maybe if it's a problem, stop watching the 5 minute chart all day and kind of like we talked about. Wow, go do something else with life. Come back and check the wall later.
Right.
What do you think?
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, just have convictions on your investments. Get the yield where you can get the yield basically where it's safe, and then sometimes like you just have to wait. It is a waiting game at some point. It's not sometimes the best move is not to do anything at all.
Yeah.
Just to wait until things happen basically, and then once you start getting this sort of laissez-faire sort of like mentality to like your crypto and stuff like it's almost like you have to feel like you feel nothing when the price is crashing and feel enjoyment when the price is pumping. That's the best way to be in a way. You're like, oh look, the price is going down. Oh no, or whatever. And then look, Hex at a new all-time high. Fuck yeah, be happy with everyone. Like be happy when
Yeah.
everyone's happy and just don't give a fuck when it's everyone's sad, basically, and you'll win this game. And it's that whole thing of like delayed gratification game, basically.
Yep.
Yep.
Agreed.
So Big Pep, where can people find you, man?
A real big Pep on Twitter, and then Pep Talk, or my channel has changed to Pep Talk. It was Big
Pep
Pep.
Talk. Okay.
Yeah, but you can look up. I think if you still look up Big Pep on YouTube, you'll find me. You'll see my profile picture on there. So Big Pep or Pep Talk on YouTube. I have my
Gotcha.
Saturday show every Saturday. I try to do a live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Got you. So obviously, follow me at Dollar Cost Crypto and stuff. I'm gonna post right now the actual. I'll post your YouTube channel right now, Big Pep. So bam, right
Okay.
there. Boom. So you let's see if it shows up in chat now. Give me 1 second window. There you go, right there. Bam. Click that right
Okay.
there. That's the link. Will take you to Pep Talk, and yeah. And in there, if you look in the description of the video, you'll find his Twitter channel, a Twitter handle as well.
Mhm.
So heck yeah, you guys, please go follow Pep and stuff. This has been a great discussion, man. Dude, we got to do this again, man. This is pretty good, man.
We will. This is good. This is productive, and we got a lot in common too on the whole gaming front and everything. So new
Yeah, I didn't
discoveries
even
every
know
day.
that, man. That's crazy.
No, that is cool.
I haven't met any much Hexicans I've played. Wow, most of them are like either RuneScape guys or like just some COD players, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've been well in the gaming community is why I could say just mostly older games. I've tried to stay away from them since WoW, but I get pulled in every now and then. I'm sure we got a lot of history there.
Definitely, man. Well, hey, it was really nice to talk to you, and then I guess next time, man. I mean, let me know. I'll go on your channel as well if you'll have me.
Likewise, absolutely. Likewise, we'll do that. We'll do it
Okay.
again real soon.
All right, you
Okay.
guys. Peace.
Take care, everybody.